Welcome to the Visual Cast. I'm your host, Alon, aka Red.
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride.
Welcome to the Visual Cast. I'm joined today by a very special guest. I'm super excited to be talking to him. Shout out to Mariam for connecting us. Coming all the way from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Welcome to the podcast, Nasser Alshemimry, Desert Fish.
Hello, what's up, man? How's it going?
How's it go? I'm good. It was so nice preemptively meeting you now for the past few 20 minutes, getting to know each other a little bit before we jump in. I'm really excited about this conversation. I think we're going to be able to talk about a lot of stuff. You're very unique, and as we kind of talk about your uniqueness, I wanted to look a little bit about your work. You're an educator. You've been showing people the ways of the visual arts and digital music for a while. You're a musician, you have super fascinating music. And I guess what we want to kind of focus on a little bit is the bridge of those two things of music and visuals. So just tell me a little bit, what kind of brought you into this world of visual design from music. Where's the kind of the connective tissue in that kind of journey?
Well, thanks, Alon. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm a big fan of the show. I've seen a lot of the episodes with even some of my favorite artists and
Hell
educators,
yeah.
which I've learned a lot from.
Beautiful.
And a shout out to all of them as well, all your epic guests.
Thank you, my
Um,
friend.
so yeah, and thanks to Miriam as well for hooking me up with this interview. I think we go way back, me and her, and of her partner as well, Willie, who's a very good friend of mine.
Hell yeah.
And we've worked in the industry since it's early stages. And yeah, I think you could say that we were at the right place at the right time. We had these kind of hidden skills which are not very popular here, and we were already deep into them even before, let's say, the um, changes happened here in Saudi, where art started to take, a central stage.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I would say that my journey began early, during my college years, right? So I was in the University of Miami, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where I graduated, and that was around 2009 until maybe 2013 or 2014. And during my stay there in Miami, having its very musical culture, and you know how many DJs are in Miami, there's like thousands of
Of
them.
course. Yeah.
Uh, and I had something led me there because of this culture and seeing all the musicians and DJs and such, to jump into music somehow. I started with a guitar, and it was
Oh,
even like a
cool.
family thing. I had my aunt, she bought a guitar. She was working at Raytheon in
Oh,
in
wow.
Tucson. She's a rocket
Serious.
scientist,
Serious.
and she was in the desert in Tucson, and she was bored, so she bought a guitar, and we would Skype at the time. And then she kind of challenged me to get a guitar and learn with her,
That's
and
awesome.
that's how I
That's so
started
cool.
music. So yeah, I was started with that guitar, but then one thing led to another. I got a piano, and I started just loving all music technology, right?
Mm.
Um, I would go to Guitar Center, and it would be like heaven, and you would
Yeah,
see
yeah,
all
yeah.
these gadgets, and at some point I was like, okay, this guitar stuff, it's very virtuoso. It's
Mm.
not very approachable sometimes. So I was like, what could I do? So I learned about the synthesizer and some other gadgets, like drum machines and so on. So I got my first synth, and at that time I was in Boca Raton, right?
Nice.
Uh, I was at Lynn University in Boca Raton,
Mm.
and started getting into that, upgrading my setup, getting some cool gadgets. And then I moved to Miami. I went to the university, and I found out that, and I was listening to them all the time in the radio station, the University of Miami radio station, right? It was called WVUM,
Mm.
90.5 FM, right? So, so yeah, it was all these very cool kind of young people running the station with very alternative music, and I loved that taste in music. And there was a particular show there, that had this DJ. His name was Spinzin, and I really liked his techno music and his style. And at some point, after applying and working at the station, I started to have my own show, which was like they give you a very late show initially. You get it at like 3 a.m. until 5 a.m. when nobody's listening. You know, so you start there, and then the next semester they upgrade you so you can choose your slot. So I chose to have a slot before this one of my favorite DJs there, and then I met him, by chance. And every time I would set up, he would be there, and we would just talk for a bit, and then we became friends. and
That's so
and
cool.
he's he's epic audio engineer and DJ, very knowledgeable, and I learned so much from him. And of course, with time, I started upgrading my setup and getting more synthesizers and stuff. And
Yeah,
it,
we
and it
saw
was
you
at
have
that
like
stage
crazy,
where
crazy racks. So cool.
exactly, yeah. So
These are
yeah, at
like
that time,
such
that's when
fun
I came
toys.
up with the name Desert Fish.
Mm. Around that time that you were getting into the racks, into like the different, you
Yep.
know, did I guess it's not really digital exactly, but like modular music of some sort.
Uh-huh.
Would
Yeah,
you
it
consider a
was at that
synthesizer
time where I
digital?
was like, I mean, they're both. You have digital and analog and hybrids as well.
Okay, 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 okay. It's like a weird one, right? Because it's like it is made from some sort of computer, but it's also like a very like low level frequency. It's like a frequency almost, right? It's like what is a guitar? A guitar is kind of a computer in a way. You're, you know, making a sound that's resonating, and I don't know. I'm getting in the weeds a little bit, but some people consider synthesizers analog. At least, like you said, I guess there's hybrids of some. There's like a different categories. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, just like you have analog photography, digital photography,
Fair.
synthesizers are the same. You know,
Interesting.
the old
Interesting.
synthesizers, the ones like pre 1970s and so on, maybe even up to the late 70s, were pretty much analog. In
Mm.
the 80s, they started to become digital. And then even at that time, when digital took over in the 80s and early 90s, people threw away their analog gear and it was dirt cheap, right?
Wow.
And then, yeah, and then fast forward to the early 2000s, late 2000s, prices skyrocketed for analog
Right.
gear.
Right. Interesting.
So yeah, you have all of both the analog and digital and hybrid and
Super fascinating. Your fall into music, and I want to hear about the bridge into visuals in a moment. This is actually a good time. I want to kind of step a little bit back. So you were telling me that you kind of grew up in your young childhood in Saudi Arabia, and then you made your way to Europe, and then eventually to America. And you kind of explained to us, which is really beautiful, how your aunt kind of introduced you into guitar. But was there any other like or just in general, you take it wherever you want, I'm actually interested, kind of, was there any other moments through your childhood or your middle age that you were interested in the arts and in music, and just in general, like kind of getting to see these different snapshots of society, of culture in these different countries. I mean, they're all kind of very different from each other. What was that like as like a young child, and kind of, you know, how has it affected your life now as an adult?
well, I would say I'm pretty lucky because I had such amazing exposure early on in my life, right? My
Nice.
first trip to the United States, I was like it was my first birthday actually. So
Wow.
uh,
That's cool.
I went to visit my grandpa, and I was still 1 years old, without even consciousness, barely. And I celebrated my first birthday in Kendall, in Miami. Um, And then maybe my first conscious trip was when I was 7 years old.
Mm.
I went to Miami again, visit my grandpa, who I'm named after, and
Oh, cool.
he took me as well to Snowmass Aspen, my first ski experience.
Oh, that must have been great coming from the desert. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it was the first time I see snow, so it was
Yeah,
really
yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah. That's cool.
And then, fast forward to growing up, my father took us all over the world. We visited a lot of countries, from Asia to Europe and United States, taking cruises in the United States. But then at some point, my dad sent me to boarding school in Switzerland
Mm.
with my cousins, who my uncle lived there as well. So I
Mm.
would go to boarding school and visit my uncle on the weekends. And it was American school in the
Mm-hmm.
mountains in
Mm-hmm.
the Swiss Alps.
Like
So
a
that's why I
expat
think
expat school kind of thing,
it's a
or
mix
more
of
just a.
both. You see a lot of
Okay.
expats, a lot of
Yeah.
American expats
Yeah.
who, for example, a lot of my friends were working in the oil industry. So
Mm-hmm.
they
Mm-hmm.
were, maybe some of them were like in Lagos, Nigeria, Americans, but
Uh
they
huh.
work at like Chevron, in
Right.
Lagos. And then other ones were like in different parts of the world working for something else. So yeah, there were
Interesting.
the expat Americans, and there were a lot of international students like myself, and
Mm-hmm.
from
Mm-hmm.
all over the world, like 52 nationalities.
Wow. So cool.
Yeah, it was a great time. The Swiss Alps, uh, growing up there from age 14 to like 18 or 19.
Mm.
It was really nice. Can't
Super
complain.
cool. Wow. So you get like a really nice perspective of, all these different things, um, where you and I'm kind of pushing on this question a little bit, but feel free to go out of it. But were you ever like, as you're kind of getting, you're traveling all over the world, you're seeing all these different things, and then you go to the school in Switzerland in the Alps, and finding your way to America to go to college, um, were you drawn to some sort of creativity? I know you mentioned that you studied philosophy and economics in University of Miami, which is very cool. But like was
The
there a
you.
part you was there a part of you that was creative inclined? Like, did you kind of like see all these things and think, okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, or was it just very like more just to broaden your horizons without having anything specific?
Well, it's a great question because I think at that stage, early in my life, up until that point in Miami, I would say I wasn't too creative, really. I
Mm,
was
mm,
more into academia and learning, let's say, history and
mm,
philosophy and
mm,
uh, all kinds of different topics in university and high school. And
mm-hmm.
I think that opened up my horizons much more, which led me, when I went to the US, it was like less academic knowledge, but more focused on creative knowledge. But actually, you could say that when I went to the US, I was a bit overwhelmed because I took mechanical engineering to start,
Mm,
but that didn't work out for me. But what I loved about it was that it made me a bit more patient with programming languages and stuff,
mm,
and you know, it
of
gave me an
course.
intro to that world of programming. And although I wasn't great at it, I wasn't good at like C++ or MATLAB or whatever, but I got exposed to that,
Mm,
which by the time I left the engineering department, which was I spent 2 years there. So, but then I pulled out at last minute, and I went to change my major because my life was getting ruined by the academics. Like it was too heavy.
oh,
It was too much studying that needed to be done,
interesting.
and it wasn't really my passion to be a mechanical engineer, right?
Mm,
Um, I actually wanted to be an audio engineer, but my scholarship didn't allow for creative type of engineering, like audio.
interesting. That's so interesting. So you
Yeah,
were kind of wanting to go into that direction, but just out of the way that academics work. Interesting. So you kind of okay. So why philosophy and economics then? Why did you shift into that?
I shifted to that because I would say that's my best topics that I'm good at, right?
Okay,
And
easy,
I could wing it. I could easily wing them,
easy.
even without studying or just paying attention in class is enough for me to pass everything.
Cool.
And then I could do just a little bit of studying to get that extra B or A,
Yeah.
as opposed to engineering where you just spent all your life studying and it wasn't my thing, right?
Hmm.
Like I just wanted to get a degree and get out of there. I wasn't in a rush to leave the US, but I just wanted to get that piece of paper so I can go back
Of
home
course.
accomplished, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, what is university if not that? Like, yeah. I mean, art schools and everything like that can open horizons, and it does for a lot of people. But most of the time, like, yeah, it's just, you're broadening your horizon in the topic that you're studying. But it's really, like you said, you want to go home. Look at me, I did it. Maybe get hired somewhere if it's if it's the right time. Okay, so actually that
Rites
can
of
lead us into our
passage.
next rite of passage, exactly. So after your school in university, sorry, after your school in Miami, after university, you went back to Saudi Arabia, to Jeddah, where you are now. Um, what was that like coming
Correct.
back to the country that you're from with all of this kind of like newfounded kind of cultural identity with your education, your horizons are so broadened. Yeah, what was it kind of like coming back to the place that you were born?
Well, you could say that since I left when I was 14 and I came back around 24 years old, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so at that stage, it was a long time living abroad.
Mm.
So coming back, you could say I had a reverse culture shock of my own
Reverse.
culture,
I love
It's
that.
as if it's
Yeah.
so yeah, when I came back, it was not easy to kind of adapt back into this world here.
Mm.
Because I got thrown into employment right away at my uncle's
Mm.
industrial bakery,
Ah,
right? So I was
interesting.
immediately the next day I arrived, I was working with my uncle,
That's
and
interesting.
he gave me a lot of responsibilities. So it was
Hmm.
a very difficult job. I wasn't really into it, but I had to do it as a form
Mm.
of duty, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Family duties.
Yeah,
Interesting.
exactly. So I had to work there, earn my stripes, and I worked there for about 4 years, 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and initially I was like a marketing manager, but
Hmm.
then I was the operations manager, and I
Wow.
was at some point in charge of maybe like 150 employees,
Wow.
and it
Oh,
was
like
just a lot of responsibilities.
a big industrial bakery. Interesting. Making a lot of
Yeah,
pita, I
like a
guess.
factory. We
A lot of pitas and a lot of
Yeah, it was the more
lafot and
sweet. So
okay, more sweet. Okay.
yeah, more sweet. So we had an industrial kind of a factory that would distribute to shops, and we had shops all around the kingdom.
Hmm. Super cool. Amazing. And okay, so then we're kind of getting back into the life here, life where you are. Um, what was the catalyst? I like catalysts to focus. Like, okay, you're already kind of playing with music, right? Your aunt introduced you to guitars. You're coming back from America probably with all these synthesizers, all these ideas. Maybe even you brought some back to Saudi Arabia with you. What are you like? What is the shift from your family responsibilities, kind of like falling into line? You're actually becoming very successful in this company. You're running this whole, managing all these people. That's like success, right? What shifted you into the arts? Like what pushed you into going back into music or going into music to begin with?
Yeah, actually, the shift from let's say audio to visuals, or at least a complementary adjacent field, was in Miami, actually, right? So when I was in Miami, at some point, I was like, okay, I'm doing all this cool synthesizer stuff, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to perform eventually,
Mm-hmm.
but I was really into those audio visual shows. So I
Gotcha.
wanted to add the visual part, and I started learning Quartz Composer, if you ever heard of that.
Oh,
Um,
of course, the OG.
the OG, right?
Yeah.
So even at that time, I was into Quartz, and I started programming my own little networks. It was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what helped me get into Touch Designer these days.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in those days, it was, much more primitive, and it's like a screensaver program,
Yeah.
which was making all the Mac screensavers, but then you could make visuals with it and
Yeah.
audio reactive stuff. And I would remember even I would get extra plugins for it, the Kineme plugins. And then at some
Cool.
point, I started dabbling with VDMX.
Mhm.
And then you could import your Quartz Composer patches into
Yeah,
VDMX.
yeah. That was a huge thing
Uh,
for a while.
yeah, and then I was loading videos and Quartz
Mm.
Composer stuff. And then I
Hmm.
got into Cinema 4D. I took the Grayscale Gorilla's 24-hour course, which was like a crash
Nice.
course in 3
That's cool.
3D. Yeah, it was free. And
That's awesome.
yeah, then I kind of earned those skills, step by step,
Yeah,
building up my visuals knowledge.
super interesting. So the goal was kind of even, and we're gonna get to Saudi Arabia in a second, but even before, like from the get go, the goal or a vision was to kind of merge the two. Like that was what was. Can you tell us a little bit like why was there a show that you saw, some inspiration, or was it just natural, in that sense?
Yeah, I think it was natural because, when you watch a lot of synth people and you will see those other acts which are like more visual and audio
Right.
and sound and visual go hand in hand. And I think I went
Yeah.
to first time my music festival, Ultra Music. Um,
Nice.
I was
In
working there with
Miami.
the radio station. I would get free tickets.
Oh no way. Hell yeah. And this is
Yeah,
like I
so
guess
so I would
back
go to
then it wasn't.
Ultra.
Back then it was. I guess it was still kind of EDC vibe, right? Or was I guess maybe before.
Back then it was I think the 2012, and it was the 15th anniversary
Okay.
of Ultra, and it was
Okay.
around that time where dubstep was massive, and
Right.
trap.
Right. 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 Trap. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Of course.
dubstep was the thing. I think what was
The in
his name?
between of bass music. The
Skrillex
like
and
the
all of those
awkward
acts.
teenagehood of bass music from dubstep to trap. That's funny.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I was watching all the visuals in that show, and yeah, eventually I just started picking up visuals. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean that will do it, right? Seeing like a big show like Ultra, where there's like where the visuals are basically what you see, right? You're in the crowd, you don't really see anything. You see those big screens, and the content is like, for better or worse, the content is kind of like fueling your journey. That will do it, right? If you're like inclined, if you're a little bit of a geek, a little bit of a nerd, that you're like, okay, I want to know how that works. That's it. The flame is kind of lit. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So back to Saudi Arabia, what was the shift from going from this bakery, you're kind of quote unquote succeeding in this I mean, I say this with all due respect, but like a little bit of a vanilla kind of like lifestyle, maybe even like, especially if it's your family, it's maybe even, I don't know how the culture is there, but sometimes keeping the family business is part of your duty as your culture. Um, yeah, what got you to go off the path? What was like, why did you go this way, Nasser?
Yeah, a great question. Because nothing is a straight line, right?
For
It's
sure.
kind of chaotic, and you just
Yeah.
juggle your life through events and whatever happens to you, and you find yourself here somewhere.
Nice.
So I would say, ever since I started working at my uncle's, from the
Mm-hmm.
first day, I was still, a musician and a digital artist, graphics and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So on the weekends, I would do that, and I would do it to the point of not sleeping the whole weekend,
Wow.
because I'm working all week and I don't have time to do my hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
So the weekend, I would just stay all-nighters, do graphics, do music, whatever it was, and
Mm-hmm.
then I would return on our Sunday, which is first day of the week, and go to work very late, and then they
Mm-hmm.
would give me a lecture, you
Tired.
know.
Yeah.
So I kept doing that for a few years, and my uncle always knew that I wasn't really there for the like passionate about working at the company.
Mm.
But you could also say that I just had way too many responsibilities because I was family. Like my uncle at some point gave me power of attorney to sign his signatures on every single document,
Wow.
and it
Like
was
super,
just
super high level.
yeah. And at some point he would travel to the United States, and he would go for a few months, and I would have to take care of the whole company. So
So you're almost like
I
you're
dealt.
being put into the position of like taking over the company at some point in some way.
Yeah, maybe, but it was just let's say at that point, uh, a thing about trust that my uncle
Mm-hmm.
didn't trust anyone managing.
Gotcha.
You know, even though they had the credentials, even though it's a CEO or a managing director, but
Right.
I had to be the checksum, or I
Yeah, yeah,
had to
yeah,
be
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
person
yeah,
who's
yeah.
like, enforcing the rules properly, making sure my uncle's interests are represented.
Mm-hmm.
So I dealt with everything, man. I dealt with every government department you can
Crazy.
imagine. I visited every government department, every building, every
That must
court
have been
system,
interesting.
every police station, you name it. I've done
And
it
you're
all.
like, I
Uh,
visited all these places, and you know what? I want to be an artist. Sorry. Continue. This
yeah, I
is
mean, I
great.
always was an artist, and this is what I was forced to do. I was a lawyer, I was
Mm.
a government affairs official, I was HR, I was
Yeah,
everything, so
an
it was too
accountant.
much
Yeah.
responsibility.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And then, one day, by chance, our bakery was very good at selling tickets and marketing. We were a very
mm-hmm.
popular brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we sold mainly like cupcakes and sweets, right?
Okay.
Uh, Cupcakes, when we launched our brand, which was about 2008, were
Mm-hmm.
not very popular here in Saudi, and we made them kind of popular, right?
Hmm.
So fast forward to like when I was working there in 2014, 2015,
Mm-hmm.
um, we had a lucky chance where there was changes happening in the country, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia was opening up to embracing the arts and music and such,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and at that point, it was still very early, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point was even the first time where women started being allowed to drive, and
Yes.
the rules were, being more lenient.
Yeah.
So suddenly, there was a creation of this entity called the General Entertainment Authority, right?
Mm.
So for the first time in like more
Interesting.
than 30, 40 years, we have a dedicated government entity that is responsible for
For the
entertainment,
arts. Wow.
right?
Interesting.
For the yeah, not even arts yet. It was still more just
Specific.
yeah, just more general entertainment. So they just tried experimental tests before they went full scale. So
Mm-hmm.
the first event they ever did was this dance event, which was called it's like this group called Illuminate, and they wear LED suits and they dance in the dark, right?
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, and that was
It's
the
pretty cool.
first of its kind event, in Saudi, and it was I think around 2015, late 2015,
Okay.
and I was just being at the right place at the right time. I
Mm.
got reached out by Ticketmaster and Live Nation, um,
Wow.
and
So they put on
yeah,
the
and
event.
yeah, they were running the event, they
Wow.
were producing it,
Interesting.
and
Interesting.
they were headquartered in Dubai, right? Because
Right.
that's the closest area they have that operates next to Saudi.
Right.
And they came and they emailed me. They reached out and they heard about all the work I've been doing in selling
Hmm.
tickets. Because at that time they also had a lot of comedy shows. Like stand-up comedy was getting
Mm-hmm.
popular here.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not music, but it was still like a type of creativity that was
Yeah.
accepted before music.
It's a stage performance.
Yeah. So after we were selling a lot of stand-up comedy and selling out all these shows. They reached out to us to sell their tickets for this
For
event,
this event.
and then they were so impressed with our work that they gave me marketing responsibilities for the whole event.
Wow. 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 Wow.
So I was inadvertently in the entertainment industry through my uncle's company.
It's crazy. So, I mean, that's really fascinating. And yeah, like, isn't it crazy to be at the right place at the right time? Like, it's like, um, you want to have the authority of like, oh, I was at the right place at the right time. But then it's also like, I was at the right place at the right time. It's like, you have some, you made the choice to be there, but also you didn't even know what you were making a choice for, Um, the ticket selling, when you say you sold tickets in the bakery, was it for events as well? So the bakery would have events,
Yeah.
like it was a warehouse or something?
No, no, it was our branches. So we had these branches. They sell the cupcakes there,
Okay.
and we had a lot of branches all over Jeddah, Riyadh,
Yeah.
in different parts of Saudi.
Uh huh.
So we had a lot of footfall, we had a lot of
Oh.
customers. So
Yeah.
customers would come make their birthday cakes. They would come and buy cupcakes. So we had a lot of traffic basically, and we could sell to those people in our shops, and we had big reach, and we'd sell more than anybody else. Like even the massive companies that are bigger than our company.
What were the events though? Just like whatever local events are happening in the area, kind of thing.
Yeah, like I said, it was mostly initially just stand-up comedy
Stand up
type of
comedy.
events, or like, yeah. And then eventually it turned into the entertainment kind of this event, Illuminate.
Uh huh. Interesting.
It was the
Wow.
first of its kind.
So because you have so much foot traffic in there, then you had the opportunity to market to all these people, and that was like a really good way, an easy way to sell tickets. That's wild. Um, wow. I have
Yeah, because like
so
even
many questions.
before, like I'll tell you before that, the comedy, stand-up comedy used to be
Hmm.
only Saudi stand-up comedians, but then
Yeah.
it evolved to inviting international guests, right?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
first event, the international event that I sold was like the Wayans brothers, and then
Wow.
yeah, then it
Crazy.
was Russell Peters as well.
Right. Like massive
He
names.
came, yeah. So that's how it transitioned, and then eventually it was this music event, and then I handled this music event for marketing it in Riyadh and Jeddah. They had two shows, and that was like the first, let's say, a pilot experiment from the GEA, the Entertainment Authority.
So okay, and I guess the event was probably very successful, and obviously, you are a big part of like the quote unquote VJ scene in KSA. Um, so I guess just to kind of shift into a little bit, because I want to move forward, even though this is I could talk to you in hours about selling tickets at a bakery, but this so once you kind of do this event with this government agency, and you're in charge of the marketing, they love your work. um, what was like, I guess, at that moment in time, right, as things are starting to kind of like become really big, and the events are becoming more and more legitimized in Saudi Arabia, what was the VJ scene like? What was like the digital AV scene like? Was it super underground? Was it non-existent? Like, up until that moment, or I should say, the work that the government agency saw in you and said, okay, I like your work. Where were you doing this work? Where were you performing? What was the vibe like?
Well, the you could say the DJ scene was earlier than the VJ scene.
Okay. Okay.
So the DJing was more widespread, maybe not
Mm-hmm.
very popular, but we had a few DJs that go back maybe to the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Um, but in terms of visuals, there wasn't really much, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the time I came with my kind of setup of VDMX and all that, it was
Mm-hmm.
pretty much, first of its kind. And it didn't really take place in anywhere up until maybe like 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in 2018, I used to go with my friends, and we would just have go to my friend's place, have a gathering, and I would bring my VJ setup, and I would even show them some cool stuff by having an iPad to control the visuals,
Right. Right.
remotely.
Interactive.
And then yeah, and they would play DJ sets, and I would play the visuals, and that's how kind of VJing started taking place here. And then even let's say yeah, there was this period because Saudi was opening up a lot, so we were more um, having more gatherings, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
having more
Mm-hmm.
fun than usual, because it just felt
Mm-hmm.
like um, we were getting our moment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
we were just enjoying our time, and I was, I'm not the kind of guy in a party or a gathering who just likes to talk and socialize. I like to be with gadgets and uh, play things all the time
I
and
can
just be
relate.
busy with technology.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then let's say after this event that I told you about at the bakery, at some point I just signaled to my uncle that I want to leave and do my own
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
and he supported me big time. And I started I
Amazing.
did my own startup, and that was like beginning of 2018. So I made a startup which was very ambitious, first of its kind, doing very niche services that nobody wanted, but certain people really wanted, you know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Interesting.
and it was an agency, um, a small agency, one man show.
Mm-hmm.
I would do technical advising for art galleries.
Ah, smart.
Yeah.
Smart. So you could get like
So
you could
even the
get.
art scene.
Please continue.
Yeah, sorry.
No, no, continue. Even the art scene.
Yeah, yeah. The art scene was still also underground for a long time. You know, they've been established years before, but they were focusing a lot on the contemporary art and physical installations and such. It was
Mm-hmm.
still not a lot of digital aspects, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, as the Saudi was opening up and art was starting to take hold as well, they started to want more sophisticated setups and more sophisticated installations. So by chance, you know, when I got into that scene with the DJs and the musicians and the creative people and the film, don't forget about the film industry, right?
Of course, it's all connected. Yeah.
You know, videographers and so on, and the
Yep.
whole film industry. We all became kind of a creative community. And then when I started the startup, one of my friends in the film industry connected me with the art industry because somebody, this artist named Dana Awartani, she wanted to have a very strange, unique setup that there wasn't a nerdy enough to kind of learn how to set it up.
Until Nasser
so,
comes
so
along.
uh, yeah, and until I came along, I'm like, I'm that geek, you know,
I'm
I
the
know how
nerd. I
to,
could do it.
um,
Yeah.
I could do it. I could set up computers and all that. And they were like, they had a very interesting setup where they had a big space and they had all of these kind of hand woven embroidery with a light on top, and the light would shine on this embroidery, and everything was dark, you know. So you have just these kind of embroidery pieces scattered in the room. But then she wanted to put a speaker on top of each one, right? And play music in the
Right.
speaker so that you would hear it, you would hear the music everywhere. But then she had a more specific request where she said, I recorded poetry, but I want the poetry to come out from different speakers and feel like, you
Like
know,
immerse. Yeah. Each embroidery part is
yes,
a different poem, kind of thing.
exactly. And she wanted all these ladies who were saying the poetry to kind of float around the room and transport to make it like a 3D environment, you know?
Super cool.
So, you know, I did my kind of custom setup. I created some custom cables and I have this audio interface and Ableton in the corner. And I would just connect to all the speakers and program all of that in and record the music, compose the music. And that's how I started as an advisor for the art industry.
Such a good entry because you're simultaneously, I mean, very multiple angles. Like you're simultaneously making connections to high level people in the industry, right? Like museums and art galleries are the, you know, whether we like them or not, is the highest creme de la creme. And then you're also legitimizing your art by being published and being seen in a gallery, in contemporary, right? Like if you're in a contemporary art gallery, then you're an artist, right? You're not like a digital nomad or whatever the fuck, you know. You're like a legit artist, and then also you're like at the precipice of this, you know, let's experiment, let's kind of catch up to the rest of the world, quote unquote. So what an amazing position you found yourself in. It's so fascinating. Um, I really I would love to kind of understand that from, you know, 2014 2015 when things are starting to open up till 2018 when you're saying that things started becoming more like VJing became more synonymous, or like things started opening up in that sense. What was that time like what was that, you know, what was it? Must have been electric, you know, like what, it must have been so exciting, and starting a scene is like the best feeling ever. You know, especially when like there's always that friction between like senior people and junior people. It doesn't have to be friction, but there's always that thing, there's like that constant movement because the juniors eventually become the seniors, so it's like there's always that like the new fresh blood and the excitement, and then you're getting excited by their excitement, and it's like this beautiful circle, or like a whatever wheel. Yeah, so just give us a little bit about that, and then I'd love to kind of start getting towards your set, but just kind of, yeah, like what was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing, I would say, just like you painted it. Um, initially, let's say after 2015, the country was opening up
Mm.
and so on. Uh, but still, everybody was hidden in their houses, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Um, but slowly, even before like we kind of got together, we were all watching each other on Instagram, right? We would get
Oh,
explore the local community, and I would find these artists
interesting.
on Instagram. I would follow them, but we never met, right? And after a while, maybe let's say around 20 late 2017 and early 2018, uh, I started at least going out more,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
doing events and stuff. My first
Like
performance was around that.
like
Yeah, like
performances.
my
Okay,
my first
performances. Your own performances.
yeah, yeah, like I went to events that had musicians. I would watch
Mm-hmm,
them play, and then I
mm-hmm,
would play my own synthesizer set. Um, but then at that point, I started meeting more people, and then slowly, I got introduced to different groups. Like I said, the DJs,
mm-hmm,
the musicians, and the film industry people,
mm-hmm,
and then this whole creative environment um, created. Let's say we fed off each other's energy and our
mm-hmm.
creativity, right? So
Was it like you think it
that's
was like a
that's
confident? You think it was like a confidence
sorry.
thing? Like people were like in their houses because they were not confident about playing like in events, or was it like almost like a leftover of not having that to begin with, or like it being, and I mean this with due respect, but it being like banned or whatever. You know what I mean? Was it like was it fear, or was it just like the lack of confidence, the lack of events? Like what kept people closed, you think?
Yeah, because we didn't have platforms, like we didn't have places to
Yes.
go or to do these things.
Interesting.
We could just do them at home
Right.
and do it with your friends. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
didn't
yeah, yeah,
have
yeah.
actually a bigger reach towards a bigger community, right?
Interesting.
Um, so everybody was doing their own thing, and then eventually, when things were like um, allowing this to happen,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
more meetups, more events. Then we started networking, and then we start
mm-hmm,
to meet each other and start to organize our own private events where
mm-hmm.
we express our art and test our
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
And
Experiment,
then,
share.
and sometimes we had at that time we had support as well, so from like cultural exchange.
Hmm,
So we would have programs with certain consulates or embassies.
hmm.
Um, you would go to these international embassies or consulates, and they would provide a platform for art and expression, and we would meet artists from like this country and that country.
Interesting. So again, like the kind of the government wants to open up these doors, wants to create more of a platform for young inspired artists, and then kind of provides you with these cultural exchanges, which is pretty fucking cool. I mean, you know, even in the Western modern world, whatever, that doesn't exist as much as it should, because that's really, that's a really good way to um, inject confidence or create platforms, right? Is like, hey, look at what they're doing in this country. Hey, look at what we're doing here. And, not only technology wise, but also culturally wise, it opens up your vision. It gives you confidence of like what could be, right? Like where we can go. So that's really cool that the kingdom or the government did that. I think it's really it's yeah, we'll maybe go into that a little bit after the set because I think it's a fascinating topic, but it's cool. It's awesome that exists. Okay, so I want to kind of shift a little bit before we get into your set, which we're going to get into here. Um, But there was two things that I wanted to talk to you about, and they're kind of around the same topic, around education. Nasser has for anybody in KSA, Nasser has a workshop coming up in December. Um, so I guess kind of jumping a little bit ahead in your story, what kind of brought you into the more educational aspect? What drew you in to doing workshops and kind of like a little bit more where you are today, as like more of like a figure, an educator? What drew you into that?
Yeah, I think what drew me into that was when I did my startup. I had to diversify and I had to provide services of all
Mm-hmm.
kinds, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I had to, do the advising part for the art galleries, and then I would do the lessons. I would teach Ableton initially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and at that time,
Interesting.
nobody was teaching these softwares. Ableton was being used by some people, but it was not accessible for people to learn. So I wanted to make it more accessible. I wanted people, especially the musicians and the DJs and so on, to get their hands on the creation part and to explore the world of production.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once I did that, I started teaching in smaller places. I would rent out places,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then I would teach there, maybe like six people class,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes two people, sometimes no one shows up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then after doing that for a while, it started becoming more in demand, right?
Yes.
Because like, what's missing from our story here is that, after that General Entertainment Authority, a few years later, I think around 2019 maybe, or 20,
What
yeah,
happened
something
in 20
like
what
20.
happened in 2019, Nasser? What happened?
Yeah, it was the creation of the Ministry of Culture.
Okay. I thought you were going to talk about COVID. Okay, I thought you were going to go into COVID. I'm
No, no,
like,
before COVID.
okay, before COVID. Okay, okay.
Yeah, so we had the
So
Ministry of
before,
Culture.
so Ministry of Culture came after, like the creation of these, the Ministry of Events or whatever.
Yes,
Interesting. That's so
I'm not sure the
fascinating.
exact date. Yeah, I'm not sure the exact date, but I think it was around 2019, 2018, maybe a bit later.
So that was kind of like
Uh,
a stamp of like approval of like arts and like things of like, okay, we're going from like small government agencies to like here's like a proper ministry of like the whole thing. So it's so
Absolutely, and it's
interesting to see
separate
how
from the
like
entertainment.
right, separate, exactly.
Mm,
It's like entertainment is part of the culture. It's like a bigger overarching, but it is fascinating to see in real
mm,
time in modern era like it really like the words don't matter. The point is that like a country who was more whatever stuck in the past or like less Western becoming this kind of like beacon, in real time and going through it. It's a very we don't really get to see these things really like that. Sometimes it happens over the course of hundreds of years, or it happened hundreds of years ago, or it starts but then it gets sidewinded or whatever. So it's very. I'm sure and I'm sure you feel very lucky to be part of it. But it's like a very fascinating thing to see. Um, again, I don't have the right words, but like to see a more
mm.
conservative or more, whatever, less Western country becoming um, modernized, becoming less conservative in that sense. That's a very cool thing. And to be part of it is even cooler. But sorry, I'm sorry. Continue with your fascinating story of education. I'm just excited.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not a lot of countries that went through this transformation.
Yeah.
We like to call it cultural renaissance, right?
Yes, I love that.
Um, and all these steps that were taken, which are part of like what I told you before, the Vision 2030 of His
Mm-hmm.
Royal Highness the Crown Prince.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so this vision is to modernize our country and
Mm-hmm.
to give our culture the attention it deserves,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't maybe a priority before. Now it is the main priority is to have culture and to have tourism. to open up to the world, to modernize. Um, so yeah, when that happened, the Ministry of Culture was a catalyst, as you would say, that pushed the art scene even further.
Mm.
Um, and then also I got my debut after advising like at least 10 artists or something, and doing 1 year of work in advising. I got my
Mm-hmm.
first chance to display my first work, which I'll show you in the set.
Yes. Perfect.
That was my first exhibition, which was here in Jeddah. It was called
Mm-hmm.
the 2139 exhibition, which is the coordinates of Jeddah.
Oh,
Um,
I love that.
and
That's so cool. That's a cool one.
yeah, and yeah, this happened every year. There was the 2139. It was called Jeddah Art Week,
Mm-hmm.
and at that time, Jeddah was really the kind of spearheading the art scene.
Like a hub.
It was the most active. Yeah, and we had one of the top galleries here, which I
Hmm.
was advising for.
Hmm.
And that gallery also has another non-profit gallery, which is much bigger, which was called the Saudi Art Council. And I worked with the Saudi Art Council as an advisor and then as an artist in their first or the first time I exhibited in their exhibition.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, and that was a big moment for me, my debut work, which is the first time in Saudi for an audio-visual art piece to be exhibited. It was very, let's say, matching the Saudi modernization
Mm-hmm.
and embracement of technology and so on.
Yeah. Yeah. Bringing it to the forefront.
Yeah. So that was my debut, and then the Ministry of Culture started creating more entities, and we have other entities besides, the Jeddah Gallery. We have Misk Art in
Mm-hmm.
Riyadh. We have the Ithra building, which is part of Aramco.
Mm-hmm.
Aramco is the oil company,
Yeah. Of
the
course.
one of the biggest in the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
and they have like a center for communities, let's say CSR, corporate social responsibility and community. It's a
Mm-hmm.
massive building called Ithra, which is in the eastern region of Saudi.
Mm-hmm.
And I started working with all of these entities, and teaching Ableton, excuse me, and also teaching um, touch designer and
Nice.
for like engineers who worked at oil company.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so crazy.
So
What was like? It was just like almost like a like you said, like cultural outreach for the corporations, for the companies, or for government, whatever government companies, whatever they are.
yeah, that was more like the oil company of Saudi. It's like a nationalized company,
Right.
and this part of their work, it's another brand. It's like a sub brand called Ithra, which is mainly about culture and heritage and art. It does all this community stuff for everyone in Saudi that can access it for free.
Mm-hmm.
So they would do events, and one of the events, for example, they invited me to host a show with Imogen Heap. And
Okay.
Imogen Heap is this really
Familiar.
cool artist from the UK. She's, I
Okay.
think, Grammy Award winner, and
Sounds really
she's a
familiar.
music technologist.
Okay.
She's a music technologist. Maybe you know her from her Mimo gloves. You ever heard about that?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I was kind of like browsing your reels a little bit, and I did see something about that with the gloves. I didn't and she looked familiar. I think I've definitely seen of her or heard of her before. But yeah, she does like a music performance, right? But with like what are mocap gloves or something.
Yeah, it's like a gestural performance.
Yeah, I think I've seen a TED.
Uh,
I think I've seen a TED of it. Probably is where it's familiar. A TEDx or
yeah, and,
something
and
like
I
that.
was really, she's one of my favorite artists, and I was, especially as a
Hell yeah.
performer and technologist, and I had a chance, but sadly it was COVID, so it was online. It wasn't in person.
Oh yeah, yeah. We get to the whole COVID era. Of course, can't avoid it. So cool. So you really like your education was kind of almost like um multifaceted. Not your education, but you as an educator is multifaceted where it's like you're almost kind of like not a generalist, but like almost like yeah, like you said, like you're teaching like industrial engineers to like learn touch designer. Like that's such a different kind of vibe than like, oh, we have an underground scene and I want to learn like a new tool. Hey, Nasser, can you teach me it or whatever? You're like, okay, here's some government sponsored, class with like, some random people. That must have been so cool to show these people. They must have their mind blown. Like I can imagine, like an engineer also, like their brain is like, oh, I get it, but it's like, where do I even start with it? That's such a cool, um, group of people to introduce to touch designer, the holy grail. Um,
I like that.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was for everyone too, right? I would be invited to this, like Aramco oil company event,
So
to teach
crazy.
the engineers and the IT people, and different backgrounds, all their employees mainly. But then I would be invited to the University of, like KAUST University, King Abdulaziz University for technology, uh, here in Jeddah, which would be a different set of people. They're mostly like doctorate research or PhD or master's degree students. Then I would go teach in Riyadh and Misk Art, or maybe in like Dir'i Art Futures, which is the first of its kind hub for new media art in the MENA region. Um, so when I teach there, it's definitely for like artistic people, people with a background in creative avenues. Um, so it's all walks of life. And then when I teach in my studio, which I have a studio with the classroom, and then the studio is here, the other room is the classroom. So I would teach here one-on-one private lessons, and then I would sometimes do group lessons in the classroom, you know.
Super cool. What a yeah, I mean it's just like multifaceted. It's so cool. I kind of we're gonna get into your set very soon here, but I just want to bookend this with like, education is so. I love education. I love teaching. I love imparting information. I feel like it's like almost somewhat our duty as as any level of artist is to share and pass on the information, and like an educational rapper is like a really good platform for that. So maybe I kind of and again, with all due respect, I kind of know what you're going to say, but does it how does it feel to impart that information to so many different types of people, and getting that knowledge, that kind of like that download out there into the world?
Yeah, I mean, we're all lucky, to be in this time and age with
Amen.
technology giving us access. We're
Alhamdulillah.
online, YouTube, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So I'm like really I have so much gratitude for all the people I learned from, like, and I'll even give you some names, like Matthew
Please.
Reagan, like
Yeah. Shout out.
Interactive Immersive HQ, Paqueta
Yep.
12,
Shout out.
Electronaut, all these people.
Yeah.
Dot Simulate,
Hell yeah.
Torrent Blankensmith, all these guys are just like
The
imparting
legends.
this knowledge onto me. Legends, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm proud to use their tools. I'm proud to even one time, Matthew Reagan advised me on a massive project, and he even did it for free. He didn't ask for anything. It was just genuine, uh, love for touch designer and for support for people like his students. I really respect that. So I decided to do the same and offer these lessons to people, and just expose them to this world, because everybody thinks it's complex, and they are afraid to jump in. I try to make it digestible for them.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
want
Mm-hmm.
them to take it step by step. Don't be overwhelmed. You need to start somewhere. Just give them all this motivation, so they can get into this field. Very interesting fields.
That's awesome, dude. And I congratulate you for, the people that we look up to and call legends, just by proxy of you passing on their information to others. You yourself become a legend. Okay, so let's move
Here,
into
here.
your set. Yeah, here, my friend. Let's move into your set portion here. All right, so we're gonna jump into Nasser's computer right now and see what he has ready for us. Yeah, take it away, Nasser, whenever you're ready, Mr. Desert Fish.
Okay, cool. Let's jump in. So this is the
Beautiful.
one I was talking about, my debut artwork, which was the first of its kind audiovisual piece. It was basically a kind of rectangular room, which has the microphone sensors, like contact microphones, right? So contact microphones under the floor. And then we had the projection, which Mariam helped me with the projection. Shout out to her.
Nice. Shout out.
She was using a Mad Mapper, and she mapped some lights and some cool things um, to the. As you can see in the beginning, we had the lights here and the speakers, and a line on the
Oh,
seam of
cool.
the room.
Huh.
So this line was like showing the edge of the room, but when sound plays, you know, you're triggering sound with your footsteps, basically.
As you're walking. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So the microphones beneath the floor, they pick up your signal and send it to Ableton.
Hmm.
And we had 4 speakers, quadraphonic sound system.
So cool. What a beautiful thing. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, like using sound as the sensor is so cool. What a fascinating idea.
Yeah, and then the graphics would respond to the sound that you know you triggered.
Mm-hmm.
You will trigger these samples and synthesizers and stuff, and that will make everything move, you know, with the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then this piece was called Transcendence, to transcend the boundary of the space. And yeah, that was my debut work, right?
Beautiful.
And then I started applying like these particle systems
Nice.
to do like kind of silhouette based particle stuff, you know.
Nice.
Um, that was when I started learning Touch Designer. Even in my debut, I wasn't really learning too much of Touch Designer. It was difficult for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started picking it up, and I was doing this in like parties first, right?
Yeah.
I would go to a friend's party, a birthday party or something, and then I would put this on their TV or a projector, and they would
Nice.
interact with it.
So the Connect,
And not even, this was a webcam.
just a webcam, just a normal
Just
webcam.
yeah,
Nice.
just a webcam and some setup in Touch Designer with the particles, not the particles GPU, but the one with the SOPs, the regular
Okay.
particle system,
Yeah,
which
like
was
instances.
very yeah, very CPU heavy, and it
Yeah.
wasn't great, but I was learning at the time. And then I displayed it in the local art gallery. That was
Nice.
after the debut. So this is a video of the people interacting in the gallery.
Nice.
They were like dancing and having a good time.
I love it. Is this your music? No.
Yeah, this is also
It is?
a track
Okay,
I
cool.
made back in the day. Yeah.
Okay, cool, 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 cool. Nice. Hell yeah. Let's go. Fuck yeah.
Is it loud enough or is it not?
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. I
Very
have a
low.
slider too. No, it's perfect.
Cool, cool. So yeah, that was the particle system, which was called From Within. And then, you know, after that, I started doing different. This is a very interesting project I did once, where I was collaborating with uh, the Russian Direct Investment Fund came to Saudi Arabia, and
Okay.
because the president, yeah, the president of Russia came to visit Saudi and talk
Yeah.
with our leaders, and I
Yeah.
was invited to an AI exhibition to collaborate with a Russian artist. So I
Wow.
took her I took her painting, which was made out of chemicals and chlorine, and
What?
yeah, I scanned it, you know, just as an image, and I used Ableton to turned that image into sound. And that was pretty cool exhibition where I met a Nobel laureate
That's
uh,
crazy. What is
who
the
was
what does the picture
with
look like?
the picture. This is the picture right here. It's just this like
What
uh, yeah, it's like a chemical reaction type of thing,
the fuck? That's
which
crazy.
is like it had a backstory to it, but this is
Okay.
her process. She uses like chemistry to create graphics.
It's crazy.
And this was another project here where, excuse me, it was the Al-Ula Language Center. Al-Ula is this very interesting desert location in Saudi. It's a city, and lately it's like you could say a UNESCO heritage site,
Okay. Okay. Cool.
and they had time now. They're very focused on this city, and they developed this language center where I took these particles and assigned them to the letters of different languages they're teaching, like Mandarin and French, English, and also the ancient language, which is called Nabati, which is the language of Al-Ula, which is like the caveman drawings on the wall.
Huh.
We have a lot of these drawings all over the desert. You could go and see ancient drawings,
This is like
and
pre-Arabic.
yeah, it was really back in the day. These old languages, just like maybe Aramaic and Nabati,
Right. Right. Like yeah.
Uh,
Like original Hebrew. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Wow.
yeah, it's like ancient languages and tongues.
Yeah. So cool.
And here, I blended each instrument from each language. So, for the Chinese or Mandarin, I got the guzheng, which is the popular instrument there, and then the English, maybe I used the piano. The Arabic, I would use the oud, and so on.
Nice.
And I would create a particle system, and I would use a MIDI controller to kind of move it around like this.
Interesting.
So it's kind of performed in real time. And
Interesting.
this work was, developed for the language center, and it became part of their brand identity. And it was during their opening ceremony for the inauguration.
So cool. So it's like the MIDI sounds trigger different letters. So it's like also
Yeah, actually,
sounds.
I would put quadrants,
Okay.
motion detection quadrants in touch design,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whenever the letters would hit here or would hit here or there, like 6 quadrants maybe, they would trigger the different instruments.
Ah, interesting.
And they would
So
send
cool.
MIDI through I think TD Ableton to
Nice. Straight to Ableton.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
They will trigger those instruments.
I love it. Like generative.
Yeah, generative. And then this work here is the evolution of Transcendence, my debut work, right? Which was the one I showed you with the footsteps, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I went and learned particle systems and particle GPU, and I started doing the graphics, so it's reactive. And then I took the same artwork and called it Transcendence 2.0, right? It's like the natural evolution of the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this is actually the work that defined my career today, because when I was doing my debut, it was still early, where the art scene hasn't like really cemented with technology yet, right? But because I got noticed from that first exhibition, I was invited for a special kind of event in Riyadh with the Misk Art Institute. And Misk Art Institute is like, a very well-known, high-level kind of entity that is about culture and art, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I took this kind of thing, and I'll show you what it looked like when I set it up. This is the video. So it was like a mirror room with acrylic, black acrylic on the floors and ceilings, 6 speakers in the walls,
So cool.
and then a particle system in each screen. It was like 9 by 11 meters. And it's an entrance, actually. Like if you go left, This is straight, and then you go left, you go up the stairs. That's the entrance of the exhibition.
So cool. I love
Yeah.
the reactiveness of the particles to the sound. It's very, very nice, very good. It's very clear, you know. Sometimes when it
Yeah, it
comes
was.
to audio visual or when it comes to abstract, it's hard to connect. But I really like the connection. It's really nice, really well done.
Yeah, it was of course challenging to get it to be very reactive and fast. You know, no latency or. But you fine tune the system, and you know they invested a lot in this entrance. You know, so it was a big responsibility for me. And at that time, they reached out and they said, "We heard that you're the man for the job. You know, are you up to this responsibility?" And you know, I took a big gulp. And I was like crossing my fingers and I said, "Yeah, sure, I'm the man for the job." And then I
Well,
went
you
to
know, if it doesn't
Riyadh.
work out, you can always go back to the bakery.
Exactly. So yeah,
Sorry,
when I did
you
this
were saying you went
work,
back to Riyadh?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and then you know I'm in Jeddah. Then I went to Riyadh to install this work, and it was a big hit. They loved it, you know, and that really put me on the map in the art scene as somebody who knows his technology, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And you know, after it, I started getting a lot of work and exhibitions and teaching opportunities, and I'm very thankful for, you know, having done this exhibition. And even in the same exhibition, I was doing upstairs was the exhibition, right? You see where this guy went upstairs.
Yeah.
Um, Upstairs, I did. At that time, I was really into style GAN. You ever heard of style
Mm-hmm.
GAN?
Of course. Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
ML library for sure.
yeah.
Nice.
So at
Before
that
the
time, I
AI
was messing around.
revolution.
Exactly, like way
I
before,
love it.
like around 2019, I was experimenting with style GAN through Runway ML,
Nice.
and I would use their website and throw data sets of cultural Saudi things, you know.
Super cool.
Uh, so I took this graphic here, which is a data set of pictures of Al Balad. Al Balad is a UNESCO heritage site here in
Al
Jeddah.
Balad. Okay.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
an
why you
ancient
see these
town.
kind of, yeah, maybe not ancient, but historical, you know, like
Okay.
few
Okay.
100 years old, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Uh, and
Like
you know, it has
original
very
architecture and
absolutely, yeah, it has these
yeah.
original windows and stuff, you know,
So
like it
cool.
looked kind of like this,
Oh
you
wow.
know.
Oh wow. 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 Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
cool. Oh fuck. That's cool. That's in Jeddah.
So that's in Jeddah, and it's a
So
UNESCO
cool.
heritage site. And
I mean,
even I
it's
told you
like
about the
some.
ministry.
It's like an Art Deco, like Arab Art Deco. You know, so cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It has
Beautiful.
its own
It's like
signature vibe,
yeah, it's so cool. I've
aesthetic.
never that green is just like wild, and it's like it also has like all the markings of like I don't remember the name for it, but like in a lot of the mosques you have those patterns. It has a
Minarets
name.
or
Yeah,
the patterns,
the
yeah.
patterns. What is it
Islamic
called? Those
patterns.
patterns. Yeah, the Islamic patterns, but it has like a
Mm.
little bit of that vibe, you know, like inside of the in the detail.
It does definitely, and that's the
So
Saudi
cool.
green, baby.
Yeah, this sounding nice.
So yeah, I had like thousands of like 1,000 pictures like that, maybe 1,100 pictures,
Wow.
and I would do the style GAN with these data sets, and then I would do them for different parts of. Here's where I threw the Arabic language one time, and it started hallucinating this crazy gibberish language, you know, ancient looking,
Crazy.
mystical
Yeah.
strangeness, you know.
Wild.
And then I would, you know, this is Riyadh. I put the buildings in Riyadh, the capital city,
Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh huh. Uh
and
huh.
this is our iconic Kingdom Tower.
Hmm.
And then I would also feed like cultural artifacts like the dalla for coffee and the shumar, which is the headgear, you know.
Yeah. 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 Of
And
course.
then I would use the Saudi emblem, you know.
Nice. So cool.
And yeah, I even if I show you the this is the generated images, right?
So that's
Of
that's
when you
before your style ganning. That's before.
no, this is after the style GAN, where
This is
you click
after.
generate
Okay.
images. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would click, it will learn the data set, right? And you can
Uh huh.
create either a video, which I just showed you the video, the latent spacewalk, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you could also generate images, right, from your data set. So I
Okay.
generated these images, like hundreds of them, right?
So cool.
And even one day I had this amazing opportunity where I sold one of these images to Neom. Neom is this, city we're building in the north of Saudi, which
Okay.
is the futuristic city. You might have heard about it.
Not the line.
And
It's a different one, right? The line
yeah,
is
it's
in
the same
UA.
one with the
It is the
line
one.
and with
Okay.
Trojena. It is,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. 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 It is.
So
It is.
somewhere in Neom, is the bigger city. It's not just the line, but it's many other things.
Okay. I
So
didn't know
somewhere
that.
in Neom, you can see this on the
Your
walls of
artwork.
Neom. You will see,
That's fucking cool.
yeah.
Did you sell a bunch of them, or like it was just like?
It was just that one, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
And that was the style GAN experimentation. Then I also did this work for Misk Art Institute.
It's the same entrance, yeah.
The same entrance, but made a bit smaller.
Uh-huh.
It was like right after the exhibition ended, they wanted an encore, you know? And this one was more traditional because it uses the Saudi and Arabic music,
Yeah.
and it was called sympathetic strings.
What is that instrument? Not the oud. There's like another instrument there that's almost like a sitar. It's like a sitting down one.
Yeah, that's
What is
the
it called? That
qanun.
one? Kanun. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, qanun.
Yeah. Nice. Cool.
And this is what it looks like without the like camera in my hands.
And this is in Touch Designer.
Yeah.
Cool. It's like a. I mean, it's like a. Is it like? Do you have the network? Can we jump into the network? Would you be willing? Would you
I
want
mean,
to
I
do
don't
that?
have it. No, I mean, I don't have it open now, but
Okay. Okay.
I used a tutorial online with one of those cool, touch designer
Synth lines
people.
or something. Yeah.
I think one of those that showed how to take like grid lines. I think it was a grid, some kind of SOP grid, right?
Yeah.
And the SOP grid would have lines instanced on them. Then I would
Gotcha.
use.
The noise.
I really like using OSC from
Okay.
Touch Design.
Yeah.
Sorry, from Ableton.
Sure.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
So if you want to do audio reactive stuff, usually the option is to do TD Ableton, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I found the easier way sometimes that I use, which is a Max for Live audio to OSC device, right? So people will trigger the sounds with their footsteps in Ableton, and the sounds will come from Ableton. But then I would put a Max for Live device on each track, which is an audio to OSC kind of plugin. And then I would pick up the OSC from Touch Design.
So why use? Because isn't TD Ableton like a more robust way of doing that, or is OSC just more easier for you to connect with?
Well, TD Ableton can be complex to set up sometimes.
Gotcha.
And it requires, to write some code, like a little Python
it's very specific,
script
right?
here.
It's very like specific
Yeah,
force, whatever.
it's very specific.
Stems and things like that, or triggers.
Yeah, like it's different use cases. Sometimes if I want something more simple, I'll go for the OSC. And if I wanted something
yeah, I
more
mean
complex,
OSC is like GOAT. It's just like right away.
Yeah.
Network connected over IP, and also OSC can send anything. You can almost send images with OSC. You can send a whole like array of pixels. I mean, OSC is the shit. I love OSC.
Yeah, it's very reliable.
Is this a previs?
Yeah, this is the previs.
Oh, cool, dude.
So
really nice.
So yeah, you can see all my skills in action now.
Yeah.
My Cinema
Yeah, I love
4D from
Nice.
Miami, and then my Touch Designer later on, and combining all of that was what helped me a lot in my career to do a
Hell yeah.
previs. It really sells the project sometimes, you know?
For sure, for sure. And it gets the excitement up there, it gets the confidence up. Previs is critical, for sure.
Yeah, and that was the sympathetic strings. Then I also did this project, which was called scanning, and it really makes good use of the blob tracking
Yeah.
and creates surveillance type of
Oh yeah.
critique work, you know?
Oh
It's
yeah.
basically scanning for nothing. It doesn't have any
Yeah.
data. It's just telling you it's scanning. It's
Yeah.
ironic. And
I
then
love
in
it.
my proposal, I wrote in my proposal how it's ironic that in China you have like two plus million cameras, or I don't know, even more, uh, in their surveillance system, which is called Skynet, you know, which by coincidence is the same as, you know, the Terminator.
Yeah, of course, of course. I don't know if that's
And
a coincidence,
yeah, this
but well,
was
you know, who knows?
so yeah, you can see that this is the lobby of Ithra, the building
Mm,
that I told you for our oil company, where you know
mm,
they do all these kind of cultural and artistic events,
mm.
and you can see the kids playing and interacting with surveillance technology.
Yeah, I love it. But the irony is, like you said, it's like it says scanning, 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 but for nothing.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's just a red dot. And this was like the kind of demo where I took traffic from New York, and I was just learning blob tracking at the time, and it was really fun. And it was, you know, difficult to kind of get this text to follow the blob, you know, and then instancing of these of make animating this word scanning, you know. And yeah, this is the previs for that work I showed you earlier as well.
Nice.
So it had a
What?
spoken word as well.
Yeah. What is it saying?
This is it's like this kind of existentialist awareness type of dialogue that's the room talks to you, you know, and it tells you, I'm watching you, I feel you. And the sounds, they jump from speaker to speaker by generative motion, right? So even in this, this is the highlight from the sympathetic strings, where it shows you how I was operating it, like from the highlight reel of the Art Institute. There was a camera above as well that picked up your movements. And then I did a performance here where Mariam was doing the graphics and the VJ
Nice.
set. It was a 50-meter by 8-meter wall on an abandoned school. And I was playing with the Nintendo Wii chucks.
Nice. That must have been fun. That's huge.
Yeah, and I
That's
was
a
right in
massive
front of
projection.
and look at this. Check here the building. This is the Ministry of Interior.
Oh, cool. Wow. That's
Right
super
there.
Cool. Super cool.
So I was with these officials, you know, from the government, and
Yeah.
it was a very cool event, honestly. And this is kind of like my experimental stuff with the TVs, with the CRT TVs.
Mm-hmm. This what's playing in the background, right? By you?
Yeah. Yeah, this is done with by hand.
So cool. This is like, is this synths or is this more like actual like a rack, like audio, like video racks?
It's like video circuits.
Circuits. Yeah, yeah. That's what I meant by racks.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Super cool. But then you're glitching it out. Or I
Yeah,
guess it
but
is
with
already.
my
It is
fingers and my
glitched.
hands and my...
So cool.
Yeah. This is, you know, Big Popper?
Big Popper? Sounds familiar. What is
Yeah.
that?
He's the godfather of glitch art.
I don't know him then. No. It's like a
Yeah,
no,
he's
this is like a world I don't know enough about. I know a little bit about like analog and liquid light and stuff like that, but not enough about glitch.
Yeah, and I'm really into glitch art, and I have these devices which is made by Big Popper. He has these devices like the Panasonic, mixers, the video
Yeah, yeah,
mixers,
yeah.
video
The
processors.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, they're circuit bent, and
Oh,
there's
so he's really like
capacitive touch.
super cool. Like yeah, you basically touch the circuit, right? And it just like kind of
Yeah,
creates
you touch the
something new.
circuit and you glitch it, and you have a video mixer. You feed that back into itself, and you have a
Yeah,
video processor. And then
crazy.
I run it all through this other kind of cool creator, Andre J. Andre J is he creates these kind of Raspberry Pi delay
Oh, like little
pedals and glitch pedals.
cool. After this, I
Yeah.
want to get their information because I should definitely reach out.
Yeah, and I love combining Touch Designer, which is the modern technology, with the old school analog video stuff.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it's
That's
like
how I
whenever
did
I
some of the
see.
stuff.
Sorry, no, continue.
Yeah, I mean that's how I did some of the pictures you showed in the Instagram.
Hmm.
Those glitchy effects and
Mm.
um, yeah, it's
That's
really
is it,
fun.
was that your music as well?
No, that was somebody else's music. I was just like jamming
Okay.
to it.
Okay. Cool. 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 Beautiful.
And this
Lovely.
work was there was this building that recently opened, like maybe last year in Riyadh, which I told you was the new media art hub. It's
Mm-hmm.
called the Diriyah Art Futures.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it's an interesting place which your viewers might find it cool because they are always doing every year like maybe 2 residencies for anybody in the
Ooh.
world, literally.
For the whole
Yeah.
world. That's so cool. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
check it
and
out.
like we have international artists coming from all over the world, and I've taught there a few lessons to those residencies.
So cool.
It's very cool, I think.
That's
And
very
yeah,
cool.
it was the first kind of new media art exhibition, like only new media, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And it was called Art Must Be Artificial, right?
Yeah. I love it.
And
Oh, it's interactive.
there I
Look at that. That's so
used,
cool.
yeah, I used the media pipe implementation from
Nice. I
Mr.
see with your
Blankensmith.
finger. Yeah. Yeah. I see.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
And yeah, I displayed this work there, which is called Digital Anemone. And yeah,
Mm.
it's like kind of biomimicry with
Mm-hmm.
a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of interaction.
Very
At
cool.
that time, I just learned about media pipe, and I needed to give this work an interactive element,
Mm-hmm.
and media pipe was the perfect solution.
Yeah.
And yeah, that work was displayed last November, I would say, a year ago almost. And for 3 months, it was displayed in the Diriyah Art Futures, which is a beautiful building as well.
Um,
And yeah, I think
Nessa, could you
this
go
is
back
all
to
my
that one?
works
Could you
that I
go back to that one
prepared.
for a second? Um,
The interactive
yeah.
one,
So,
this one, or this one?
yeah, yeah. I mean, are they they're the same? No, those two. This is like
They're the
that
same.
was
Yeah, they're the same.
yeah. Is it is it not pops, right? It's before pops?
Yeah, before pops. I mean, I still don't know
Okay.
much about pops,
Yeah, yeah.
but this was just using subs actually.
Just instances, like just a bunch of
Yeah, like instancing a pipe.
yeah.
Like it was a
Interesting.
pipe that would bend. I would bend it, and
Okay,
then
I was gonna say
instance it, like,
because the bend is very organic looking. You know what I mean? Like there's a
right?
very organic look to the bend where it's like, okay, yeah, instance pipes are one thing, but then it becomes almost like yeah, it becomes very organic. It's very cool, very nice.
Yeah, and I think I took a simple pipe, which is already in Touch Designer, and then bent its left and right sides with a deformer of some kind, the displacer or something, and then animated it to move, so it would bend and not just stay static. And then I would instance it into like maybe a grid or something.
Mhm. Mhm.
And yeah, this is what came out in the end.
Super cool. I love it. Well, dude, I mean, thank you so much for showing us all your works. I mean, it's really quite the
Oh yeah, actually, I have one more
collection.
section.
Okay, please.
Do we have time for just a quick run through?
Of course, always.
Yeah, this part of the set showcases this kind of aesthetic that I've developed through my experience with Touch Designer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it basically takes everything I knew about Touch Designer and creates this very cool video processor, right?
Okay.
So I would throw
Ooh.
like stock footage. Like I would just get stock footage of nature and like
Mm-hmm.
sampling, basically, like sampling
Mm.
videos of
Mm.
nature, or and I would create this kind of cool, colorful, playful,
Mm.
iterative thing with using the cache, the thing that stores the memory, right?
The cat. Yeah.
The
The
cache
image.
system.
Yeah. What is it called?
Yeah, image cache or cache. And
Cache select.
yeah, I would feed
Cache.
into it these videos.
So cool.
And I did the music here too.
Nice.
So I would like to, I really like to take the nature videos in slow motion and like National Geographic or whatever, and loop like a moment in time to keep it forever, like this ephemeral or timeless kind of piece that loops a moment forever. And even the audio is kind of seamlessly looped. And this hummingbird goes on and on forever. And I would also layer particle system on it and process the graphics, the original graphics, and have this very cool feedback kind of system. And I would take videos like this, and I would create the music with my synthesizers. And yeah, I was
Beautiful.
actually in Japan recently,
Beautiful.
and I showcased these works in Japan and the expo Osaka.
Super cool. Oh, look at that. That's sick. Eagle or hawk. Sick.
Yeah, which is very on brand for Saudi,
Hmm. Hawks or
or more
eagles?
like falcon.
Falcons. Right. Falcons. Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
falcons.
Nice.
But this might be a hawk or a falcon. I'm not sure. I think it's a hawk. No, it's a falcon. So yeah, I just really love sampling these kind of seamlessly looping videos. And I would also loop them myself, edit it maybe in
Hmm.
Premiere,
Nice.
and I would feed it to the system,
It's like
to
a particle. Something
the
going on there
network that I
too.
created. Yeah, there's particles, and then it would the eagle or falcon would disappear and come back. I would even take the shots like from the desert.
So cool. I love it. Is this? Are you layering at this point, or are you just doing like a background removal or some threshold?
Not even. I would just feed the video and maybe create like
Two
a
layers or something.
difference. Like
Difference.
that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like a difference, and
Mm.
then create that motion detection thing where it makes
Yeah.
it into
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
silhouette, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So cool.
And actually, this video, I was supposed to display this work in Christie's auction house.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I even made a sculpture, a low poly leopard, which I have the sculpture sitting here.
Oh, let's see. Let me just put you on here.
Yeah. No, I mean
Show it.
I can't show it because it's like in
Oh,
another
okay.
room, but
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, my bad. My bad.
but if you want, I can show it to you.
Yeah, why not? I love this.
Maybe later
Super cool.
when we switch
Edge
to the camera.
detect. Got some like psychedelic
Yeah.
vibes to it for sure.
Yeah, and I love here how the leopard is like only a shell and you can't even see the body, but
Yeah.
it's just like
Yeah.
the
It's
shadow,
clear what it is. Yeah. 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 I love it.
Yeah, and this one's maybe very on brand as well for desert style Saudi Arabia, desert fish, which is stock footage of camels and
Nice.
shepherds,
Nice.
I just love the aesthetic,
Yeah, super cool. It's like when you were showing me the glitch art before from like the actual synthesizers, it's funny because like obviously I have massive respect for any type of art, but whenever I see glitch art, I'm like, oh yeah, I can do that in Touch Designer. Like yeah, I get the wanting to synthesize it in an analog way. I totally get it. I just don't know enough about it, but it's just like Touch Designer is that. It's a digital version of that, like and it kind of is synonymous because it's got all the nodes and all the connections, right? So like you would connect a rack to a rack, and then you would go from here to here, and losing all the things. It's almost like a node graph in some esoteric way.
yeah, that's true. I mean, Touch Designer can do a lot, even imitate this old stuff.
Yeah, like I would look at this, and if I didn't know, I would think that it's some glitch. Somehow some sort of, okay. Some of it is defined, like this maybe is a little less glitchy, but like you would kind of look at it and be like, oh, that's some analog shit. Um, which I love. I love that kind of that homage to it in some way. Super cool and psychedelic, trippy as fuck. It's very psychedelic. I love it.
Yeah, and I made it kind of into this whole series, excuse me, to this whole series, which
Mm-hmm.
is called Deja Vu.
Mm-hmm. Cool. 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 Start recording. All right, so we're gonna get an even nicer special treat from Nasser. So take it away. What do we have here?
Okay, so here I have the glitch art setup. So I just have a media player that plays kind of clips and videos, movies, anything you like. And the setup is, just a bunch of CRT TVs connected to some cool gadgets from the 90s and some Raspberry Pis, right? So I have over here, if you see this is a video mixer from Panasonic, which is the WJ-AVE5. It's well known for its
Nice.
feedback. It does great feedback and stuff. And then this is the same kind of unit, but it's more about video processing, right? And then over on the left, I would have the Raspberry Pi over here, which is kind of like a glitch delay pedal, right? So if I sit down now, you can see everything, right?
Yep.
So let's say, this video is playing. I have control over the dry and wet
Oh,
of
cool.
the,
With a pedal?
oh, yeah, it's like a pedal, you can say. It's
That's
like
crazy.
but it's a Raspberry Pi. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
yeah.
Raspberry Pi
But it's with your foot.
that like it has a video input, and you can go
Mm-hmm.
HDMI out or convert those
Wow.
signals. Let me just fast forward here. I'm doing Akira, which is
Nice.
a favorite of mine.
Classic.
And yeah, here starts the film,
Super cool.
and then I can just play with the different scenes. You could say like you're like remixing it, in a
Mm-hmm.
way.
Mm-hmm. So the feedback is coming from the Panasonic.
The feedback, yeah, it's feeding back here, but
It's
also I
feeding back
can
into
create
itself.
feedback in
Right.
the pedal too. You can
Gotcha.
do it
Wow,
from
that's so cool.
multiple places.
So crazy.
Yeah, and you can go really crazy with it.
Yeah.
Then you can also reset, and that was the delay pedal doing all the kind of glitchy stuff and zooming in, right, and spinning and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But if I go to the video mixer here, and I start touching the capacitive points, it starts to glitch everything out, right?
Like literally just touching them with your fingers.
Yeah, just like touching the metal, the
That's crazy.
the connection points, right? Which
Wow.
is all going into the circuit bending and the circuits, right? And I could either touch or play with these knobs, and the knobs they create these kind of you know it chops up, like you see how it's all glitched out now,
Yeah, like a
like this
scan
or
line or
like
something.
that, scan
So cool.
lines. And sometimes if you're not wearing shoes, you get a little buzz in your
You get a little
hands from
shock.
electricity.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. And yeah, you glitch the footage like that, and then the video processor can also play with the color, right? Like a color
Mm-hmm.
processor.
a hue
So when I move
rotate.
this knob here, you
Sick.
rotate this knob, you're playing with the colors, and then you go here and you can pixelize
Oh,
everything and do
nice.
some
That's so cool.
effects, you know.
Have you taken this like live, or is it more just for you to fuck around with and play with?
Yeah, I've performed a few times live with this. I mean, it's a really a
It's a
hassle
big
to carry
setup.
all these TVs, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then I could also this is the kind of feedback, but I have to fix the glitch. Yeah. This is the feedback of the mixer, see?
Whoa, that's
So
analog.
yeah, that's pretty, I would say, yeah, kind of analog and a little bit of
How?
digital.
Like, what is it
Because
even
if
doing?
you,
Like, it's so like noisy, in a good way. But like, what?
yeah,
How
it's
does it?
like from what I understand, it's like I'm feeding the mixer back into itself, or sometimes even this one is getting fed back into itself, right? Both of
Mm-hmm.
them. But in this case, I think, yeah, maybe this one or that one, because when I move the colors and I change the color here, you see how it plays with the feedback itself?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like the more you add green, and if you choose just a solid color, it becomes less. But if you put it somewhere in the middle, you get more feedback.
Huh.
It's like this very cool liquid effect.
Very cool.
And then you have these time-based correction, which, I guess it controls how the circuits work properly. And then you can blend in uh, back the footage and keep playing with it, you know, and combine all this
Super cool.
together. Then you have a crazy, like, epic
Yeah.
set that you can play. I pixelate and then I glitch it out, spin it,
Super
and
sick.
then you can even slow it really down.
Super cool.
And then what's cool is once you push it like to extremes, you start to discover like the sweet spots. Like if I keep going, for example, like this, you start to enter crazy epilepsy territory.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For
And then you
sure.
start to control the feedback itself, and freeze it and play with it. And then if you reduce the contrast, you lose it. It's really
Yeah,
fun.
feedback is a tricky one because you really have to be able to
You have to maintain the
master like
glitch.
you have to maintain the feedback without getting full white, basically.
Yeah, I see it's going down, down until it kind of loses all the.
Yeah, there's nothing to
Oh,
feedback
and here we
anymore.
go. We got this cool kind of
Spiral.
pattern going on.
Hell yeah.
Yep. I think that's cool enough demonstration. I don't think we need music, right?
No, no, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Um,
This kind of gets the idea through, right?
definitely. Nessar, thank you so much for sharing all of your awesome workflows and beautiful art with us. It really is quite a awesome pool of work that you've accumulated and created. You should be very proud. And yeah, I think the first thing I want to kind of talk to you about is, you know, we kind of touched on it a bunch, and I again, I want to be respectful to your culture, to where you're from, and your country, and everything like that. But I also want to talk about a little bit, like, you know, what is creating art if not self-expression, right? And what is self-expression if not um, kind of talking or focusing or bringing to attention, topics or challenges or, um, when when I think of art, I think of a way to be in a way like anti-establishment. Now, my art isn't anti-establishment. I'm not like politically creating, but when I create art, when I express myself, self-expression, I'm trying to be, you know, anti-establishment in a way because that's, you know, that's how my background of, you know, growing up religious, growing up in a settlement, like that's, you know, I want to say fuck you to all that by expressing myself. Um, and you know what I'm seeing, and I don't know enough about the local, you know, art or about Saudi art in general. I don't know enough. I'd love to be educated on it, but you know, to me it seems like you're not coming from that perspective, and it's more of like embracing, um, you know. You know, and when I say establishment, I don't actually, it doesn't actually have to be necessarily government or religion. It doesn't have to be anything like that. Um, I just think it's, maybe it's because of the way that, um, you know,
Mm.
uh, the the culture is being renaissance. There's kind of like, you know, rebirth. So maybe there is less of a an inclination to be anti the thing that's helping rebirth it, which is a very interesting kind of a place to be. So yeah, I just like open conversation. You know, like what do you feel about that? Like what is self-expression for you, and where does the anti-establishment, you know, like fuck you in art come to play when you live in a place like you live in?
I mean, I would say, you know, approaching art has many ways to approach it. I think everybody can find their way to express themselves in different categories, different areas, you know. Maybe there's the kind of artists who are very activism, you know, or very into certain hot topics of the day, you know, from this and that. Um, and I even have friends that are like into these topics, let's say, you know, maybe they're a little bit more towards the feminism or this and that, you know. Um, but, you know, I have a different approach completely. I'm not like very inclined to be some kind of activist, right? You could maybe say that before the reforms happened, you know, I still loved my country, but maybe it was not the setting that I was kind of being comfortable in like today, right? This
Right.
change is very important for me
Especially because
because I even
you saw all the things around you, right? And you were kind of, you got to see outside of that.
exactly, yeah, I got to see the outside world, and I even got to embrace in my early life the religious world. And my father was, you know, a big sheikh, you know. He
Really?
was,
Oh,
yeah, he had a master's degree in Sharia, which is like
wow.
the law of
That's
Islam, right? But at some point, also, my father got into other things as he grew up, right? This was his younger life, but when he grew up, he was into more the stock market, trading, you know. So yeah, you can say in a way that I don't really feel the necessity to be that kind of artist. I like to be the kind of curious scientific artist, right? I'm purely driven by scientific phenomenon, by
mm,
studying the deep aspects of science and technology,
mm.
um, and then physics and quantum mechanics and all that cool stuff. You know, this is what gets me going.
Okay, okay. So let's go to that direction. I do want to go back to your father at some point because that's crazy. But okay, so quantum physics, science. Um, you know, I talk about this a lot on the show, and oftentimes when I have guests that are way smarter than me, it's always great to hear what they have to say. Um, and this is a good example of it right now. But yeah, you know, lots of the art that we make, especially generative art, is math, right? It is science. It is scientific in nature. It's using algorithms and concepts and simulations from the scientific world, you know, from nature, ostensibly, in a way, you know, like a noise pattern is the pattern of particles moving in the air, or you know, wind patterns or things like this. Um, how does it touch you? Where do you bridge the you know, the thirst for knowledge, the thirst for science, slash experimentation, in your art, in your workflow, in your even in your everyday life, really? Like, where does the you know, the connection happen? Where does the glue meet?
Yeah, I think the glue. meets or the inspiration that I get is from the deeper questions in life, as usual, right? I like to investigate these questions that go super deep into, let's say consciousness, existence, uh, and something to do with the universe itself. So, one of the biggest inspirations in my work, and what, like you said, what drives this generative artworks is this idea of chaos, randomness, right? Um, Noise itself is randomness. And then at some point in my works, I even found out that some of the works that I have done spoke to me differently long after they've been displayed, because you can see a pattern in your work sometimes, right? Even
Mm.
though you're not really focusing to make that pattern, but it emerges naturally, right? It
Mm.
connects your works together behind these concepts that you like and you research. So one of them was, for example, I did a proposal where I investigated the nature of noise, right?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And I was using noise like all of us artists in graphics and stuff. We've been using it even in other programs, like we
Sure.
use noise in audio, right? You have
Yep.
white noise, brown noise, or maybe white noise, pink noise, and different types of noises, right? Uh, and in audio they serve a purpose, and in graphics like Cinema 4D or all these software, they also use noise shaders,
Textures.
noise
Right.
whatever, right? Textures. And then when I got into touch designer and getting into the more kind of specific noises, and getting all that noise to move and understanding the different noise algorithms, excuse me. So understanding the different algorithms of noise, for example, at some point understanding there's no such thing as random, right?
Right.
Where
Seed values.
if yeah, like these seed values are kind of deterministic in a way.
Mm.
No matter how much you want to make a system super ultra random, it just never can be, in this universe. It's like you have Brownian motion, which is kind of random, but it still has predictability equations and
Yeah.
such.
Yeah, for sure.
You have, um, where it got interesting for me was through my research, I've learned this cool fact about um, back in the 70s when they had a good concept. They had a established concept about the cosmic microwave background, right?
Okay.
Um, and
Like in
this
space.
idea, yeah, it's in space. In cosmology, there's
Okay.
this remnants. They call it the remnants of the Big Bang, the first light of
Right.
the universe, right?
Right. 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 Right.
Which
Right.
is a
Right.
big map. It's like a
Yeah. You
big
can.
map, and it's like an
It's
oval shaped
measurable.
map with. It's measurable in temperatures fluctuations, right?
Mm.
That's what the graphic is of the cosmic microwave background. So when
Interesting.
it was already well established about knowing what it is, but they didn't really pinpoint, from my understanding, more about it until this kind of unique event that happened in the 70s, I think, where these two scientists started to send this very huge satellite, which was the first of its kind, to the cosmos and try to read radio signals and all kinds of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
they kept finding noise, you know, and this noise would distort the signal. They wanted to clean the signal. So they said, let's go check on the satellite. So they go and check the satellite, and they found a lot of bird poop and pigeons kind of
It's there.
droppings. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then they said, oh, you know what? Maybe it's all this pigeon droppings that we have to clean. So let's clean up the satellite, and maybe the signal will be boosted or cleaned up. And then they cleaned it up, and then they were still picking the same noise,
Wow.
and it wouldn't go away. And then through that experiment, they started studying it more, and they kind of pinpointed that these signals are the cosmic microwave background, right?
Literally, like
And
that's just the universe speaking, or whatever, the universe breathing, or
yes,
something. Crazy.
exactly. It's like they're picking up these
Crazy.
signals, that didn't make sense to them, but they finally pinpointed what it was, and they assigned it to that idea of the earlier contributions, and then they
Mm.
won the Nobel Prize, right? And then
Nice. Well deserved.
after they did that, like I saw that in a documentary, I think, and then after that scene, the narrator was like, "Do you know that your TV static from the old CRT televisions, 1 to 4% of that static is the cosmic microwave background signals picked up by your TV?"
What? Just
Yep.
like just because it's all over, I guess. It's just going radiating
because it's
through
everywhere.
everything.
Yeah,
That's
you can't avoid it.
crazy.
You're even
Wow.
like in your room, anywhere you
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
there's
Cosmic rays. I
remnants
mean,
of
it's
that
every. Yeah,
signal.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Wow.
yeah,
Imagine
they're
if we could,
microwave rays, and
like, imagine if we had cones that could pick that up. That'd be crazy. Just like walking around seeing like infrared or some shit like that. You know, like that'd be so crazy. Seeing the cosmic
well, yeah, you
rays.
can even you can modify TV to kind of filter out all the other signals and only keep that.
What?
Yeah,
So
you
you
can
can
do
like
that.
literally just use a CRT screen to just pick up like the microwaves that are just kind of in the air. That's. I
Yeah,
mean, I guess
you
that makes sense, right?
because
It's
you
the
know
same.
the
Right, right. It's the same frequency. It's just you're picking up on a different, or it's the same wave. It's just a different frequency.
yeah, like I was just exploring this with ChatGPT the other day, and it told me, yeah, it's technically possible if you filter out
Wow.
all the other signals, the extra noise, and you
Right,
just
and they're
focus on
known.
that.
Right, you know those signals. It's
Yeah,
like the TV, the Wi-Fi, whatever. You turn that all. Wow, dude, you got to try that. Have you tried it?
I would love to try it, but I'm not yet a circuit bender. But
Yeah. The next level, circuit
uh,
bending. Wow, that's so cool. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
things like
but
that.
like
Please, no,
and then
continue,
yeah,
continue.
you could recreate it in Touch Designer, the same thing. You could create that aesthetic, that you know um, maybe use the filter in Touch Designer and make that noise as an input. It could be done in many ways.
Mm. Mm. So, whenever, like, I think, whenever we talk about this or whenever these kind of ideas come up of like these super um, immense and like whoa kind of moments about reality. And as artists we have this all the time. Um, you know, the question of, and again, let's take it this. I'm happy to take this wherever you want, really. But the question of, you know, what is this reality? Why is this reality? Maybe why is not such a great question, but what is this reality? Like what is the connection that what is our consciousness? You know, like what is it? Like how does it connect to Allah? How does it kind of make us all like this one kind of unique kind of thing that's moving through time and space and whatever. Everything's kind of happening, and then all of a sudden we as little humans are like, oh yeah, a new cultural ministry is opening up, and now you can make all these cool little art things. And it's like, oh wow, like where does all these things connect for you? Where do all these things connect for you?
I mean, yeah, I think I was always into science, right? And getting into the graphics and touch designer type of generative art and all of that. That kind of solidified my love for science and combined creativity with that. So I'm really happy that I could do kind of works and in artistic ways to approach science, not only do art for the sake of art, or you know because like I said, everybody approaches art from a different point of view, and they
Mm-hmm.
have their own goals to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And I never thought I would be an artist in that sense, right? Like
Mm.
I was more of a technician, right? Like when I started
Mm.
advising the galleries and
Interesting.
stuff, I was always in the behind the scenes. I was the guy who would just set up the projectors and program the Raspberry Pis, and all that cool
Advising.
stuff. Advising, and just if they don't know how to do it with the technology that's available, and I would even make it more efficient. I would buy the cheap speakers that are like Chinese brand, because we want to open them up, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
for
yeah.
one of the artists, he's a very cool artist here and well known. He's very well known to work with charcoal, right? So he had this artwork, a solo exhibition, but one of his artworks in the solo exhibition was to make a canvas, and this canvas would sit flat like a table, right?
Mm.
And he would take his charcoal and kind of scratch it, and he would throw all this charcoal dust all over the canvas, right?
Mm.
And then he hired me, and the gallery hired me to create a sound system that is affordable and customized, right?
Mm.
And of course, I bought the cheapest kind of speakers I could get my hands on that were good enough, right?
Mm.
So I can open them up and modify them and extend the cables so that I can mount those speakers right under the canvas, right?
Hmm.
And I had maybe
Wow.
like 6 or 7 of them. Yeah, like 6 or 7 of those cones removed from the speakers, but connected like right under the canvas. And then I would take Ableton and start to program these patterns of sine waves, right?
Like somatics
So
almost.
exactly
Is
like
that okay?
cymatics, but more like not as precise, but
Right.
following the
With
the
dust.
same idea
The
with
yeah.
dust. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
then
Wow.
all
Wow.
these speakers would like vibrate with sine waves, certain pattern that he curated. He told me how to do it, and then I would program it for him. And then the dust starts to dance and move around and create these cool patterns, right? So then he
Crazy.
would close, he would close the canvas with glass, and it becomes like a proper table, right? And the solo exhibition was a month long, and he kept those speakers on for a month. So they would just create these patterns, and they would draw chaos, like noisy patterns.
Crazy. And it's charcoal, so I guess it's like it's leaving a mark wherever it goes, right? It's like
Mhm.
that's so cool.
Exactly.
What did it look like at the end? I mean, must have been just like a massive noise.
Absolutely. It's massive
Yeah.
noise, but it's natural noise with
Yeah.
real particles and
Wow.
paper and sound system. So it was a
Okay.
very unique idea that it pushed me like to go out of my knowledge and learn more stuff, and a different perspective.
Okay. And so you as a human, what do you not what do you, but how do you connect to that energy? I've had this conversation with multiple people, sometimes around the idea of like flow states and this like collective consciousness. Some people believe that there's like a pool of ideas and creativity is kind of like a shared reality, or like that's what God is, whatever. All these kind of different ideas. Do you have like a like an anecdote about this, like and again, I'm not even gonna take it wherever you want in that sense. I just kind of want to get your perspective on it, and we can shift into philosophy from here if you want.
Sure, yeah. I mean, yeah, I definitely take, for example, consciousness very seriously. This topic, uh, ever since I was taught in philosophy class, my first philosophy class in high school, that nobody has ever defined what it means. And, it's like this very complex topic. And fast forward to now, where I'm much more educated on the matter and always following the latest developments. Like, I'm watching Roger Penrose talk about quantum mechanics inside the microtubules in the brain, right?
Hmm.
Where he says
Wow.
that consciousness itself is a quantum mechanical process where the collapse
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
wave function is,
Wow.
consciousness or whatever,
Yeah.
and that's one of the advancements or one of the theories proposed. And there's, of course, many other theories, like the theory where it's like consciousness is like the oceans, right? Where each wave crest is a certain entity or conscious entity, right? But then that all feeds into a master ocean, which is like the upper level of the consciousness, right? Um, and these are all like speculative,
That's a
experimental ideas.
beautiful metaphor. I haven't never heard that one before. That's a really cool one.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. That metaphor is closer to the one where they say, consciousness, it's like the universe observing itself through
Yes.
you, right?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
you can
Right.
even
Right.
say that, like, in that regard, you can even say that your thoughts, your actions are not yours, you are
Hmm.
the vessel carrying this beacon of observation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, you could say that we all could somehow go back to something that controls all these or maybe not controls, but observes through you.
Observe, or just like sends a signal. Like if consciousness is just a beacon or like some sort of attractor to whatever thoughts and ideas, there has to be something that's making the thoughts and ideas, or not, or like you said, not controlling, not making. Those are all like very base words, but like there's a signal, and the signal, even if the signal is us feedbacking into ourselves, you know what I mean? Like there is still something creating that signal that the consciousness is attracted to or attracting in some way. Do
Yeah,
you?
and you just said the key word right there. You said the feedback loop. It is kind of a feedback loop. Consciousness itself is a non-stop kind of feedback loop where you keep observing and calculating and observing and calculating, right?
Do you?
Like you know how you're compressing your reality all the time, right?
In
Every
what way?
time you see the world, like every time you see the world, you have to compress it to understand it. Like
Right.
you see what's in front of you, it's all colors and data and like you know how we have FPS in the computers, like
Yeah.
120 FPS,
Yeah.
but the human eye can see like I don't know thousands of FPS or something. Like we're
Yeah.
supercomputer basically.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's not even the eye, really.
So
It's the brain filling
yeah,
in between, right? Like our eyes are pretty rudimentary, but the like you only see like this much. The rest of what you see is made up, basically, or your brain's just kind of like some fucking insane AI generative computer. Way better than an
exactly.
AI
Yeah,
generative computer, but yeah,
way better for sure.
way
Because your
better.
eye can probably see a lot more than your brain can dissect, right? Or digest, right?
Digest, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then,
Compute.
yeah, like I remember even watching all these scientific documentaries and stuff, talking about the computational power of the brain compared to even the AIs of today, that they are nowhere near what we are capable of, you know. And
No.
even though they're advancing and they're finding, new discoveries about AI, but still our computation level is unsurpassed, you know.
Yeah, I mean the AI thing is like it's like an AI doesn't think. It's just a series of uh, collections of what came before and what's coming after. It is a black box in that sense. I think we're getting more and more understanding of what happens in that process in the black box, but at the end of the day, it's not thinking. It's just it's noise. Taking noise and converting that noise into something else, and then it comes out as a picture. But it's like, it's so far away from what we're doing. Like even if you have a context to the conversation you're having with an LLM, which is kind of like memory and it can pinpoint, it's not really memory. It doesn't actually understand, that my father's called this and that, whatever the question that I asked an hour ago is that. It's just, you know, it's so different, I feel, which is at some point exciting that like we're so different, but also kind of like it would be cool to understand on a scientific level what it is that's going on. You know what I mean? Like even if it's not like the answer to everything, I don't think that you can answer everything, but it would be cool to understand. Like okay, we're at level 1 and our consciousness is at level 100 and we have to go through all these levels, to build a real AGI or something. It would be great to to understand that, but nobody knows. And it's like every time they say AGI, it's such a marketing branding thing that it's like, no, you're so far away from that. Like we don't even understand what the actual thing is doing. How could we say that like, that it's even close to an intelligence? It's just I find it so almost like what's the word? Like it's like offensive to our consciousnesses to say that AI is intelligent. It's kind of like
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, they call it artificial intelligence, but it's probably more like artificial next word prediction, you know?
yeah, exactly, or like yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, okay, well, but just sorry, we're jumping back. Like, do you have a like a comprehension of like the ineffable? Whether you want to call it Allah, whether you want to call it nature, science, whatever you want to call it. Like, you're obviously uh, you're obviously like an empathetic person that has emotions and ideas. Do you kind of go to that level of understanding of and you can call it whatever you want, spirituality, whatever. Do you go there? Do you have that feeling?
I plead the fifth.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. We can go back to AI. We can go back to AI. I totally get it. Um, yeah, I mean, it's such a it's such a crazy thing, right? Like, um, we're playing with all these toys. We have all this technology. We have all this understanding of the technology, and we're using the technology to create moments and experiences and immersion that are then giving people the possibility to escape or go deeper, whatever it is, and it's like, I don't look at myself as God per se, but like we are in a way godly in that sense that we're like being able to create these experiences. And I think that the reason that we're not gods is because we're pulling from the God, from the ineffable, whether it's math, whether it's, creative, flow from some sort of pool, and we're then sending it down to the people, kind of like what all of our monotheistic gods did, right? They took these high concept ethical values, high concept understandings of the world at certain times of humanity, and pushed it into a book, into a place, into an idea, into a person. Obviously, throughout time, those things became, more laws or more, I don't know, like dogmatic kind of ideas. Um, but we as artists have that ability. Do you think about that in a way? Is that also pleading the fifth, or can we talk about that a little bit?
No, I think it's fair enough.
Mm,
I just see creativity, perhaps, it's a form of expression, right? To express what you're into, what kind of worlds are you interested in, right? If you see my works, your works, and every other artist, you can tell what they like from seeing their artworks, right? Like, what are they into? So, you see my works, you see the scientific background of it. I would see it always from a very scientific way, you know?
mm,
I'm not maybe like so spiritual in the sense that to say, we are grabbing this info from somewhere or something, but I would say it's curiosity. It's like,
mm.
remember that scene from The Matrix where Trinity
Yes.
and Neo, right? And then she tells him it's the question that drives us. So I think that's what it is for me. It's like, how curious are you about your surroundings, about what makes this world like work as it does. The fine scaffolding, the lattice of this world. What is that?
Mm,
Your relationship to it.
mm,
Finding more insightful topics you discover in science and so on. Like for example, when I mentioned to you the cosmic microwave background and all that, that is to me like is like a very deep connection with the cosmos, right? If those microwave signals are everywhere, then we're kind of interacting with it every day. We can't escape it, right? So to me, like, it's research, it's epistemology, learning. Just your kind of knowledge. System that you have, how you upgrade that, how you delve deep into topics, how you go down to the microscopy of things, right?
mm.
Because let's
Beautiful.
say at the deep meaning of observation in general, it's like all of us artists have that power to zoom in so deep, right?
Yeah,
And to
yeah,
go
yeah,
beyond the surface level individuals who are just going about their day punching in and out. We have the luxury to kind of explore this universe and go zoom in
yeah.
on
Yeah.
certain things.
It is luxury for
so
sure.
s- yeah, so I think that's my connection to, if you want to call that spiritual, or if you want to call it uh you know
We don't have to
mechanism,
define
or
it. We don't have to define it. Come on, be
Mm.
philosophical. I'm joking. Okay, first of all, beautiful imagery you had me going on there. Thank you for that. Maybe like background way, religion is the reason that we have science, because people were so oppressed that they needed to kind of look at the other way and be like, what's going on here? So thank you to that. What you said about amen or amen, in the native traditions in South America and in North America, mostly in South America, they have aho, you know. And if you think about what these are just sounds. Ah, aleph, right? The first letter, the first sound. Ah is like, there's this whole thing in Kabbalah, and I bet you that there's probably a mirroring idea in Islam, almost for sure. I don't know for sure, but I would say probably for sure, is that the way that the aleph is drawn is the sound that it is. So like the when you and this is like very prehistoric, so I don't think they had like synthesizers or anything like that, but the sound wave the sound wave of the if it if like you're looking at it from like some slice of 4D or whatever, is that shape of an aleph. And that's kind of like the idea, is that whenever the when God created language or gave language to humans, that was the idea of like the word, the sound in itself is slicing through reality, right? Like what is a sound if not a wave that's moving through space and time? And then what is a word if not the same thing on the level of us, of our 3D reality, of our consciousness, right? Like my words, my sounds, well, they don't mean anything, but they do to you because we've come to this kind of like, conclusion or some sort of understanding of what each word means. And it's kind of like the idea of like language given by some higher power, is that, you can make all these sounds and we can all like agree, okay, means that, and means that. But then when it's given to when we go into like ancient language or modern language, there is more there's more what's the word, not perception, but there's more like meaning or not meaning, I'm totally losing my train of thought here, but like there's more like direction for the conversation, and I kind of think about it like in a way of like prehistoric, or like maybe like ancient civilizations, or whatever, like hunter-gatherer kind of vibes, to that kind of where we are in time now, or maybe like we're post it a little bit, but whatever, medieval ages, or like start getting into agriculture and start getting into like more city kind of vibes. I guess now we're like super post it, but I just like that idea that the sound slash the language slash the words are kind of like are kind of like a bridge between this I don't know, like sacred or like intricate kind of higher power, universe, whatever you want to call it, nature, and like us as humans, right? Because nature is so, it's so not static, it's always moving, but it's so balanced. There's no good and bad in nature. Nature just is, right? Like a tree falls or a fire happens, it just is. It's actually good, right? Like a fire is good for nature, or like whatever, an earthquake is good for nature because it's shifting, it's constant. So it's like and those all have like sounds and frequencies, and trees are emanating some sort of like a thing outside of them, and we're learning more about the mycelium and all these kind of things. And then you look at humanity, you look at us, and we're like, yeah, we have all these great fancy words, and we have these fancy things, and forget about like modern technology, but even think about like farming. Oh, we can make nature our bitch, and like do whatever we want with it and domesticate and everything. And it's like, I think that bridge that we were given, or that bridge that we discovered, I don't know, is lost in a way in our modern time, in our in our current era, and we take it for granted because we're like we're having these we're being able to communicate on these high levels, but we're forgetting like the basis of what language and communication really is, and like spirit and like religion or spirituality, or connecting to some sort of source. Or really, it could be any practice that you want to do, is that reminder, right? Because you're in church, you're in the mosque, you're in the synagogue, you're in a ceremony, whatever it is, and you're connecting together, right? And you're using these very basic kind of sounds, amen, 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 whatever, and blasting off, like everybody in the synagogue or everybody in the mosque is blasting off together and connecting to some sort of really high source of energy together. And that's just like, as much as I personally, and I won't put this on you, as much as I personally don't like religion or organized religions, I remind myself that their message, whether it's lost or whether it's still happening, that's a conversation you can have, are important in some fashion and manner, because it creates that reminder of of taking things for granted, of like being appreciative, right? Like what it's like, almost like kind of coming back to like appreciation, or showing thanks, for the reality that we have. Wow, it was a long one.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating topic, especially language. You can say that we are our comprehension level is based on that language that we have, right? We have a limited set of words in all languages, and you can't know more than those words, right? You can't put the words together to know more than that. So uh, you kind of need to have another language to understand the undefinable, right?
Mm.
Let's say maybe I've always thought, how do those people that are like born with these complex issues, and they're let's say the severely autistic people who cannot develop speech patterns or nothing, but they are born and with this disability, they live their entire life without even uttering a single word, without understanding a single word. Maybe they understand like mama or something like that, but they can't define anything.
Mm.
So imagine, how they live, how they see the world.
Right, right.
So yeah, I think
Wow.
words are fascinating. And even, for example, like you mentioned a lot, because I'm really passionate about the philosophy of language, and you
Mm.
mentioned about the caveman
Mm.
languages, the utterances they made, that kind of primitive speech. That in of itself, you can say, like, if you tune yourself to a certain level strong enough, you can even start to hear your own language as gibberish. You know what I
Ooh,
mean?
yeah, yeah. When you say the
Like if
word over and
if
over
you
again.
yeah, if you say it over and again, or like some words, like complicated words in certain languages, like in Arabic, like ضفدع, which means
Lufta.
frog. Yeah, but it's a very complicated things for foreigners to say. But it's a very strange word to even hear too, because it has a
Okay.
certain syllable thing with a complex letter thing,
Wow.
So I think if you can at some point with intense focus listen to your own language but not understand it because you're focusing too much on the each letter, each utterance, you're kind of zooming into language at that point.
Kind of like you still have black and white, but there's a lot more grays, or maybe like there's something outside of the black and white. I don't know. Um, that's a really interesting, fascinating thing. So when you're fascinated into philosophy, and when you look into like different types of schools of thought, and different let's call it like maybe academic kind of like ways of thinking, who do you who do you like pick from, or who are you reading, maybe now, maybe before, I'd love to hear your kind of generalized take on the idea of philosophy as a topic.
I mean, yeah, it's a huge topic. Maybe hard off the top of my head to pick certain ideas, but I would just say, like, in general, yeah, these different topics in philosophy I'm quite interested in, and I've delved deep in one way or another, from people like Kripke or Kuhn and Popper,
Mm.
talking about things like advancements in the relationship between the human condition and technology,
Mm-hmm.
right? Going all the way to different philosophers in time, because I think each philosopher, maybe like the Marx you have, and then Engels, and then you
Yeah.
have people in early 20th century with movements, for example, like even people who wrote novels that have philosophical things behind it, like
Tendencies. Yeah.
Albert Camus, like
Camus. Yeah.
Franz
Yeah.
Kafka. Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
Franz
Yeah. Yeah.
Kafka. So
Okay.
all these philosophical things, even Nietzsche, what
Mm-hmm.
have you. Even though that we might all read these philosophers and kind of understand their theories, not every time obviously we're subscribed to them.
Mm-hmm.
We can just expand our knowledge with knowing what's out there, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like everybody, knows about nihilism, you know, but to be a nihilistic person, it's kind of like so negative sometimes, and um, maybe those nihilists are not the most fun to be around, you know.
It's passe to
And
be a
same
nihilist at
idea.
this point.
Exactly. Maybe it was trendy at
Back in
some
the
point to
day.
be
Yeah,
nihilistic.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I think all these philosophers, they kind of collectively create these belief systems or schools of thought or whatever, to investigate the nature of truth and epistemology, ontology, being and existence. Rene Descartes, I think, therefore I am. I think
Mm.
all of these things also contribute to, in the end, maybe each person would have multiple schools of thought under their wing that they
Yeah,
subscribe to. Maybe at least they respect also. Maybe they don't have to subscribe to certain things, but they respect those ideas.
yeah,
So
yeah. Even
that's how
most
I approach.
philosophers, even most philosophers would have a few schools that they, or a few teachers that they would have that were sometimes conflicting.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, philosophy is a type of investigation of even argumentation of any kind, right? Because at some point the Islamic world was very influential in to contribute to the sciences and discoveries.
Of
Like,
course,
yeah, they had their
math. I
period
mean,
where
you know,
math and
yeah,
astrology, astronomy, a lot
yeah,
of things
yeah,
were there was a golden period of Islamic kind of
yeah,
knowledge
yeah,
contribution.
yeah.
And even today, like today with the Saudi Renaissance that I was talking about, we have a Nobel Prize winner who is a Saudi, right?
Wow,
Um,
amazing.
he won it, I think, in the chemistry, and that's really awesome for me to see my brothers, out there doing their
Of
thing.
course. Yeah, hell yeah.
We even have uh, like we are trying also to go to the cutting edge, to go to where we haven't gone before. Like we've sent the first people to space since our initial. We had the Prince Sultan back in the day who went into space and went into orbit around Earth. Our prince, at some point, um, he was an engineer, I think, or he was in the Air Force, and that allowed him to kind of explore the space avenue. And
Cool.
then recently we had two astronauts go to the space station for the first time.
Wow, that's so
So
cool.
we had a guy and a lady who went to space, and they
Wow,
were
amazing.
chilling for like 1 week in the space station. And of course, my aunt, she is the first aerospace engineer in Saudi.
Yeah, you were saying. So, but
Yeah.
she's she's in America.
No, that was back in the day. That was
Oh,
uh,
wow,
she
that's so
used to
cool.
work there. Yeah,
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
but she
Super
moved
cool.
back to Saudi, and
So,
she's now
t-
settled here.
so kind of lingering on this, Saudi Arabia and the heritage and everything. And this might I'm trying to get this question to be not pleaded. Um, okay, you grew up in so I'm fascinated by let's call them revolutions, let's call them renaissances, whatever you want to call them. I'm fascinated by the modern ones where you can talk to somebody who was present pre-Renaissance and present after. For instance, we talked to the name escapes me now, but the main developer of Tixel, the software, and he grew up in East Berlin, and but he grew up, obviously he's alive now, so he grew up in East Berlin and in post, whatever, Berlin Wall falling. And the perspective and especially when time's passed, right? Because time is a very good teacher of perspective. Um, the perspective of kind of like what these perceived, notions are versus like what is like, what is the status quo now, is so fascinating to me, because um, okay, I'm gonna leave it there. So for you, for somebody who is kind of like an adult, a young adult, and but you were also a young adult when pre 2014, or maybe even before that. Um, yeah, what is that perspective shift like for you personally, but also for the people around you? You know, when you look at an older person who is, 80 years old, 70 years old, and all of a sudden they're seeing these new things that they're so not used to, right? Like, I can't even imagine what it's like for, and I say this with all due respect, it's more of a joke if anything, but I can't even imagine what it's like for like an 80-year-old to see a woman driving. You must be like, what the fuck is this? This is crazy, you know? Um, so, so yeah, like what give me the perspective on that, because I don't have it. I might in 20 years I'll probably have it about Israel, but give it to me about it what it is now. Hopefully less than 20 years, who knows, maybe more.
I think it's an excellent question, honestly, because yeah, I mean, for any nation or any group of people, change is not easy. Of course, nobody said it's going to be easy. Um, but also it's all about who has the power and influence to make that change. Not anyone can do that. Maybe if
Mm-hmm.
somebody else came and tried to do this change earlier in our history, or maybe not the same person that's doing it now, tried to change it too, maybe it wouldn't have worked.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes the right person to do that change, and for us it was our crown prince, his royal highness. um, and this change was initially, drastic, of course, but it was step by step. It wasn't like all the changes took place at once. Like first it
Right.
was women driving, and then second it was the loosening of certain regulations around segregation. Of the, like, if before we used to have, if you went to a shop or a mall, you would have family section and single section, right? So if you
Wow.
if you have your family and females with you, you have to go to a certain section, and single men, they go into a certain section. And all
And
these things
single
have
woman.
disappeared now. Single women are with the family side. So
Okay, okay,
family
got you,
side,
got you,
it's
got you.
like married
So
men,
that's so crazy. So
sons and daughters, young.
segregation wasn't on race, it was on, like, I don't know, like status or something.
No, it was the
Not even
sexes.
not even
The
status. It was just sexes. Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, it
Interesting.
was the
Interesting.
This is it's well known in a lot of religious communities, right?
Yeah,
They have
of
that
course.
conservative nature.
Of course, of
So back
course.
in the day, we did have that segregation, but we have removed that, right? Now it's much more relaxed. Even the people who wear the abaya, which is the covering, the hijab and all of that.
Hijab. Yeah.
It used to be much more strict about it. Now they are much more loose, because we are now, a touristic country, right? We want to embrace tourism. We want to even make our perspective on these rules more lenient, because now we have a more, let's say, moderate belief, not so strict. Like, it allows every person in this country to have the freedom to be as, let's say, religious or as conservative as you want, but it also accept the liberal people as well,
Liberal.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. 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 Secular.
so that's why a lot of liberals, yeah, maybe secular, you want to say, or maybe not secular, but liberal Islamic people,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
that are not as serious, um, so these kind, like, maybe like the most conservative people are having difficulty at some point accepting certain aspects, but at
Yeah.
some point they accepted it, right? They had to take it as the new law of the land. Maybe some people had their initial kind of they had difficulty accepting, like I said, but eventually they opened up too, because also you can say that a lot of the stuff we watch on Instagram and TikTok and whatever has desensitized everyone, since the early 2000s, watching
Yeah.
YouTube and how it
For
grew.
sure.
Like, you have to understand too that Saudi is one of the most highest consuming social media countries in the world. Like, we
Really
are a big, yeah, definitely. We have,
interesting.
at some points we were breaking records on, like,
Wow.
media consumption of YouTube,
I don't know if that's something to be proud of, but
Snapchat.
it definitely is gonna shape. It's gonna shape society for sure.
Yeah, like, our society is modernizing, and
Yeah.
we have those traditional folks who maybe at some point resisted, but now they have adapted as well.
And so I guess two things. One is, um, it's kind of interesting to see. before we went on the podcast, and we're going to wrap up things here soon. But before we went on the podcast, we did talk about. I had the dates in my head very wrong about when these things kind of altered and changed, and now your perspective makes your correction makes a lot more sense to me. It must be interesting to see the resonation in the rest of the Arab world. It's becoming more and more obvious that the people want to retain their religion, want to retain their culture, want to retain their, beliefs and connection to whatever it is they connect to, but they also want to have equality, and they also want to have, less extremism, let's call it. And you could see it when we had, what was it, like 5 or 6 years ago? You had the thing in Iran with the women and the driving and the whole thing, and obviously things are a little bit slow in some places, but I would imagine that when an average person in another Arab country that's maybe more, strict, sees an Arab person in Saudi Arabia that's, just as Muslim, just as committed, just as focused on the things that are important, and they're seeing them and they're like, okay, well, why don't we have that? That's really important. Is that talked about in Saudi Arabia? Is that like kind of a feeling of like we're like a beacon to the Arab world, to the Islam, to the Muslim world?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a huge responsibility for us because we have, of course, our king is the custodian of the two holy mosques. That's his title, right?
Right, of
So,
course, right.
having this title and this responsibility in our nation, where we are, I think in excess of probably, I don't know, maybe 13, 15 million people a year coming to Saudi just for religious purposes, right?
Right. Just to Mecca
Pilgrimage,
and Medina.
Umrah,
Yeah.
sorry, Raya is like La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, which is
Mm,
it talks about the most important sentence in religion, right?
yeah.
Which is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his prophet.
Yeah.
So this is written on our flag. It's reflected in our custodianship of the holy
Mm-hmm.
sites. So of course it's a big responsibility for us to be an example for the world. And perhaps, maybe some areas or some people around the world, like let's say Islamic people, could critique us into going into this kind of new state of openness and embracing of modernity. But at the same time, everybody's going to have different opinions regardless of what you do, even if you did it or you didn't do it, right?
Of course.
So,
Of course.
uh, but at the same time, we also have a lot of Arab nations that have done it before too. It's not like
Yeah.
something
It's
new,
true.
right?
That's true. That's true.
So it's our turn now to embrace modernity, to also, most importantly, we don't regret anything. We don't regret our past, it's part of our identity. Everything that happened even before the reforms is part of our identity, and we're proud of it. Even me living back in those days, in retrospect, I see it as part of our rites of passage as well, right? Of being a country that has these responsibilities, and now being more open for me is a great thing for others as well. A lot of people in Saudi, if not, I don't know the numbers, but most of the people in Saudi are very happy with these changes.
Yeah.
We have
I mean,
uh yeah, sorry.
no. Don't be sorry. Continue. You have.
Yeah, that's it. I was saying in that where we are today, it's very inspiring for young people. It's very reassuring to the ladies who are driving now. We're having these new liberties, and then every year it's getting more and more, modern and more different, and in ways that even surprise us as Saudis.
Yeah.
And we really love this new approach.
Yeah, it's cool. It's exciting. I was just gonna say that like just the fact that the normalization of governments, the embracing of the Emirates and of Saudi Arabia in general by other foreign governments, even Israel and America, is that's substantial. That mean that okay, whatever. It's all about weapons and oil, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it's about. It matters that we can talk, right? And I can come visit you, and you can come visit me. That's the actual essence of these governments making all their shady bullshit, And I know you don't have to say anything about that. That's fine. That's my opinion. Okay, so So wrapping all this up, and kind of like I think, and please, again, like tell me what you think about this. But what we're kind of talking about, in an essence, is the global community, right? You have the global community of people. You have, the Western community. You have the Eastern community. You have the Middle Eastern community. You have the Muslim community, and we have the visual arts community. We have the creative community. We have the in your case maybe the audiovisual community. Why is it so important? What is so important about community that really that's why we're here. My podcast is a communal podcast, and you're a community leader. What is it about community that is so irreverent and so like directional in that sense?
Yeah, it's very important to have community, definitely. And for me also, in terms of community, it's reaching out to those who will want to learn or who want to enter this world of ours, So I like to be the enabler of that. So in that sense, yeah, I think it's indispensable to have communities because without them, we're just hidden in our studios or our, bunkers, whatever. We're behind closed doors, and nobody would, you wouldn't interact with anyone. So yeah.
Fuck yeah! I thought you guys live in caves. I'm joking. Sorry, terrible joke. Anyway, sorry, dude. So
No,
nice
I
to
mean
talk to you.
maybe closer,
Yeah.
closer would be mud houses, which we have a lot of them.
No, I was just trying to be classic, white supremacist racist. Um, yeah, dude, it's so nice to talk to you. Like, really, you're so fascinating, and I feel like we could talk forever, but sadly, we can't. We can. We'll have to have you on again at some point. Is there anything you'd like to say to anybody or everybody, whatever, before we leave? Anything you'd like to say before we leave?
Yeah, all I can say perhaps is that our country, Saudi Arabia, is um, quite an important member of the international community. Let's not forget that, right? A lot of people see stuff in the media which may influence their opinions about this place. But at the end of the day, it's like any other place as well. We have the same type of human beings and people. Uh, Also, in regards to these days, Saudi Arabia is much more different than perhaps most people have grown up to believe because we are, like I said, going through this cultural renaissance. And today, more than ever, especially, for example, like people of Europe and America, in maybe 24 hours, you can get a visa and come over here to
Yeah,
the one of the safest countries in the world.
yeah. And
We
beautiful.
have high. Yeah, of course, it's beautiful. We have different type of aesthetic than maybe people are used to. We have the deserts of Al Ula and the different parts of Saudi from Jeddah, Riyadh to the eastern region and so on. So yeah, I think just with that before anyone judges anyone else, we are all one world,
Mm,
stereotypes aside.
mm.
You and I, for example, are a great example of this connection where we're different worlds, we communicate.
Oh man.
So I think, yeah, we need more of that. We need more of the love around the world. And
Mm.
I think that's all I have to say.
Well, my friend, that was a beautiful sign off. And again, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure, man.
Wow, what an episode. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Manda Smash for the intro and outro music. Thank you to Sophie Holder for the amazing internship helping us with all the episodes. And thank you to the guests for coming on and spending time with us. See you next week.